Hello and welcome to Everyday Eternal number 125, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. Today's show is brought to you by all our Patreon supporters. If you want to support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal. Guys, why didn't you stop me last episode? Nobody paid attention, nobody messaged me. I announced the wrong episode number. Like
Really?
As soon as I released the episode, somebody knocked on my door, like the German office for order, or whatever you want to call it. Like we have the German order authority, Ordnungsamt, and they make sure that there's just like public order. And they knocked on my door and they were like, Julian, you announced 125 last week, but it's actually just this week. And this is a formal demand for you to clarify the mistake.
So Julian's actually podcasting from prison right now.
Yeah, was that the Spotify prison or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think you could actually run a podcast from German prison. Like you have so many things you can do in German prison. I think you might even be able to run a podcast. I wouldn't be surprised if you could.
Well, we have proof right now.
I really couldn't hide it, right? I'm in cell block B.
Pretty decent internet you got there.
Yeah.
It's pretty better than mine, but
it's actually better than most places in Germany. So
why did you go to prison? Well, I value the internet. Yeah. The reviews were pretty good.
So last one was 124.
It was, and I sincerely apologize. I said 25.
You were just so excited for this episode.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
This is the real 125.
Yeah. You know what I would love to see? Like, we never catch onto it. And then once we arrive at 200, we eventually realize, it's just 199. And I don't know what happens then, but like, everything breaks down because everything is wrong then. And then like future alien civilizations, they will come back and they're like, where's the last episode? 124, where has it been? We can't find it. It's the last missing piece to understand human civilization. Like,
we could also promise like loads of really cool things on the 200th episode, and then like do 99, then 99.1, and 99.2, and then it gets smaller decimal points and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was too much No, not too much information. What's the one that Steve Menendian does? I don't know if they still do it. So many in the same place.
So many in the same place.
Yeah. I think they skipped 200 and went straight to 201 because they said, for 200, you got to do something special, and we don't have anything special, so we will continue at 201, and once we find something special, we will record 200.
This is so honest. Holy shit, this is good.
Yeah. Right. I think in German you would also need like to get approval for that, but yeah, I mean.
And now they're at 5,200, and they still can't think of the 200 one.
Yeah, that's the one, right? That's the one. They like screw 1,000. Who cares? Like the 200. That's in the ancient numbering system of, I don't know, Ethiopia or something. 200 is the big one. But yeah, we're not at 200 yet, but we might get there one day with your support. And Kai, you recently upgraded, right? You love your voice. Everybody loves your voice, and now, for the first time, at least on this podcast, we actually get to enjoy the beautiful voice of Kai. You were like how would you call it? Like a singing boy or something when you were a kid?
So that's my lovely voice. Hey, everyone. I just got a new mic. I'm so excited, everyone. This is crazy. Like having a dynamic mic for the first time with like a proper like mixer and everything. Like I think for the first time in my life, I'm actually like kind of
professional.
It's somewhat professional
about anything. What?
No, it's an actually really good upgrade. I didn't really know much about microphones in general until Julian told me like 1,000 times that I have to get this microphone just like ASAP, and I was like, okay, well if that's the case,
Well, I didn't require you to. I just recommended it a couple of times.
Right, but it's also like how you recommend something. No, actually, like I got kind of interested into and again, I whenever you watch something, I think like if the video quality is like like so, you can kind of just get over it. But if the sound is not okay, then people just like just click on other videos instantly. So
I mean, it's basically like porn, right? You could watch like 360p or something as long as the sound is right. But what do you care about 180p?
Yeah.
If the sound is horrible.
Totally, yeah. I don't care if like the porn is pixelated, just.
I mean, you're from Japan, right?
Yeah, just give me just give me the good sound, Just give me some surround sound.
I heard in another podcast, by the way, that somebody in Japan like released some kind of algorithm that depixelates Japanese porn, and apparently like it's a really big deal in society now. But yeah,
Yeah. So
This is
what
a crazy tangent. I don't know what
Yeah,
you guys
like-
are talking about.
yeah, I mean, like one of my best buddies in Japan, like his job was to like censor all those porn movies, like to put like a mosaic on top of everything.
couldn't you like outsource that to an AI or something?
Well, maybe in 10 years, yeah, but it's like real human beings, you know, who do that.
I mean, you can say, okay, this is like hand manufactured, crafted, ancient porn.
That sounds
like
way too good.
handmade porn. It's like not something mass fact. You get the idea, right?
Of course, yeah, handmade porn, yeah.
Handmade porn, exactly. Yeah, marketing, baby. It's all about the marketing. Oh, but yeah, what else are you up to?
I met Andrea Mengucci for the first time in my life after
Hell yeah.
like hell yeah. I think like it was like he was like one of those magic personalities I wanted to meet like the most. You know, once I moved here to Europe.
Did you touch him?
It was well close. I didn't even hug him. Man, what a shame. What a shame. Yeah, I just kind of you know give my fist. And that's
You did
it.
that like you did that weird thing where like you reach out for a hug, but then you realize it's not gonna become a hug.
Oh,
So
like
you're
the
just
awkward
like,
thing. Oh
yeah,
man,
you're waving your hands in the air. You're like, hello, this is how I greet everybody.
that's totally normal. No, there was this modern showdown event last Saturday or Sunday in the south part of Berlin, and apparently it was powered by Card Market, or like not apparently. I think Card Market had like the like a feature match area ready, and they invited a couple of pro players, and like Eli Loveman, I think from California, and like you know Simon Nielsen from Denmark, I believe, and some others. And we had like this nice little like 40-50 player modern tournament going on in this like super tiny shop in the south part of Berlin, as I said. And it was basically the hottest day, but also in terms not only the weather, but also the metagame and just like the overall like you know excitement in this one little shop. It was really really cool. It was like a 5-round tournament followed by a top 8. Obviously, your boy Kaya just freaking scrubbed out, and you know. But I had a good time. But I had a good time regardless. You know, it was really.
There
really
was a
cool.
stream as well. I watched some of it. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
They've done a few of these kind of showcase things. I think. I guess they're trying to build up the name for if they bring events back soon.
Right.
Hopefully.
Like I think it clearly shows like how much we all miss like proper paper Magic coverage, right? Like
Yeah.
like GP coverage and stuff like that. You know, like it's kind of gone these days, and I think like you know somewhat of these like DIY versions are kind of like just having a good I don't know how to
Revival.
finish.
No,
Yeah,
I think everyone just massively misses that GP structure, right? Even if you're not there, or the GPs and the Pro Tours by extension, even if you're not there, you're watching along. You've like it's such a big, like you know people there if you're not there yourself, and you're invested and you're following along all the time, and who does what at these different GPs and who's got multiple top 8s, blah blah, and everyone's missing that. So everyone's just like hungering for anything at all. So even like 50+ events
Yeah,
is
totally,
interesting.
totally.
And if it's streamed, it just like heightens the just how much it means, and people will watch along. There was like 300 to 400 people watching most of the time, I think.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And I think like overall, what's most important for many Magic players in general is like a proper coverage instead of like good prizes or something like that. You know, like most people don't really care about the actual prizes you can win at tournaments if there's like a proper coverage. You know, if you I don't know if they're like photos and videos taken of you know the top 8 players and like Decklists and things like that. Interviews, you know, those are huge too.
It's so true.
Basically,
Absolutely
yeah,
true.
like everyone kind of wants to like you know just get their name out and go like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm pro. look at me.
I almost got to touch Andrea Mengucci.
It's just getting back to the old way
Yeah.
as well, right?
Right,
It's
no,
just-
that's an achievement.
so yeah.
So Kai, what did you play?
So I played the most like legacy-esque deck possible in Modern, which is Blue Red Delver. Andrea suggested Amulet Titan for someone like me because it like he said something along those lines of like the Doomsday deck in Modern is probably Amulet Titan, just of like how complex it is and how powerful it is. I think
I can totally see that. That really makes sense, because with Titan, you're very often like thinking 1 or 2 turns ahead, and you're calculating mana and what you can afford to do, what you can't afford to do, what you can play around, blah blah. It's actually it's like so spot on. They're really similar. I never thought of that.
Yeah, and like Doomsday, like when you resolve Doomsday, you get a search for like 5 cards. With Primeval Titan, it's gonna be like 2, but you do it more often. So it kind of ends up being closer to 5. I think I'm way too stupid for Amulet Titan, to be completely honest with you.
I agree. I'm joking. No, I think you'd be really good at it, jokes aside. Like,
I mean, everybody starts off stupid when they pick up a difficult deck. Titan
and Doomsday, another thing they share is like, when you make a mistake, it's so punishing, because you probably lose, because like Doomsday, you've just exiled your deck, so you mill out if you mess it up.
Titan, I've been there, right? Doomsday,
Titan, you're very often casting
GG.
like Summoner's Pact, sometimes multiple Summoner's Pacts. So you both decks are killing yourself sometimes. So you're just like, oh, I hope this works out. I'm way too impatient to play these kind of decks. So my problem with them is I've tried Titan a few times over the years.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, even when Summer Bloom was legal back in the day and stuff, but I'm always like, I can't be bothered to work it out, so I just start doing things, and sometimes like after 2 minutes you're like, oh shit, I'm mana short, I guess I die. So yeah,
I played it back then when Summer Bloom was legal too, and I think the coolest thing the deck would ever do was some kind of combination of lands where you put Titan into play and you somehow gave it haste and attacked on the very same turn. That was mind blowing.
Oh yeah, so with an amulet you go and get Boros Garrison and Slayer's Stronghold. That gives it +2/+0 and haste, and then you bounce one of the lands, not the Boros Stronghold, and then you go and get like the Boros Garrison or something. It gives it double strike, and then a Vesuva to copy the Boros Garrison. Or if you bounce the Boros Garrison the first time, you can, if you have multiple amulets and multiple land drops, you fairly often get like a 10 power double striker attacking.
Yeah, dude, back then I also played in Magic Online, and one match I played against it, I was on the draw, and on my opponent's second turn, I was being attacked by, I think, 2 or 3 hasty Titans. Like, they literally did everything. They literally got everything down on the second turn and attacked me for nearly lethal, while I had literally played land go. And back then I took a screenshot and I posted it to Twitter, and I was like, imagine somebody walking into their first FNM and somebody just died against them. Welcome to competitive Magic.
When they played Summer Bloom, they played Hive Mind as well, so like that's a pretty brutal way to go.
That was around.
I had a back then I was playing Jund in Modern a lot, and I had a super cool game where they played like a turn 2 Hive Mind, and then just had like 3 mana in play with some Soul Lands, and they had an Azusa in play, so I got to cast my Summoner's Slaughter Pact to kill their Azusa, and they copied it and died off it.
Sick.
It was what I thought was a win, and then came 9th on Breakers. It was classic old school PTQ vibes.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, that was fun. I think it was actually like I had to play.
Were you ever like a PTQ grinder? Did you try?
No, I just loved playing tournaments. So you just go to everyone.
That's a spirit, man.
Top 8'd a few, never did very well. I'm not a great player, but I just used to love playing them and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Like that's the big spirit, right? That's why everybody gets into tournaments in the beginning. It's just like I love playing that. That's also like why I played basically every PTQ I ever played. It's just like, oh, there's this big Modern tournament. I'm just gonna sign up. I don't care about them. Like it's also like why I played most cheapies. I want to do well in a big legacy tournament. Yeah. And then if you like qualified for the Pro Tour, like that's just like something on top. Whereas like the actual real pros, right, or like the ones who are like on the edge, like on the verge of like making it to the Pro Tour, they would treat a GP as a PTQ. Yeah. Whereas to most people, it's just like, hey, big legacy tournament. I want to be there.
That was exactly my thing. I just threw cards at random together and stuff. I'd gone out partying the night before, and I got woken up by my friend picking me up with a car, and I was like not on my bed, in my clothes, upside down, like feet on the wardrobe or something. And I was like, oh shit. I grabbed like 2 Battle Skulls because I knew I had 58 cards in my deck, so I just played Jund with 2 Battle Skulls.
Oh my god!
It was quite a pile.
Oh god!
I had prophetic flame speakers as well. It was terrible.
That's so funny. Like, like most Magic players put in some extra cantrips if they can't finish the whole deck. The Callum just put in random Battle Skulls, like random equipments in his deck.
Hell yeah!
I love that. Creatures. This is an equipment. This equipment makes creatures, dude. What's to go wrong? Like
they won a couple of games.
Yeah, you can never flat out.
You just bang. But yeah, good old PTQ days. Oh dear.
And speaking of big events, Kai, I hear you're also gonna go to some big event in the near future, probably.
Yes. There is this big joint event this weekend called Tier 1 Con in Sweden. I'll be there for the absolute first time. I've never been there. Apparently, it's like they do it like every now and then. But it is gonna be massive. I've seen like numbers like reaching up to like multiple hundred players in like for modern, legacy, for vintage, old school, pre-modern, limited, what have you. Like literally any format you can play. I'll be there the whole weekend. So I think in 24 hours from now, since we're recording on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday, yeah. I'll be in Sweden tomorrow. Super pumped. Since I'm gonna be I'll be seeing a lot of familiar faces from Magic Online 2. And if you are also on the event, please say hi. I'll probably be the guy just, in weird clothes, and you're gonna find me. But it's gonna be like I'm gonna play 3 big events. I think I'm gonna play the modern qualifier event, I think, on Friday, which starts at noon-ish. Saturday is gonna be an old school day for me. I was kind of hesitant to play modern again, but I got a couple of Power 9 pieces also like sitting on my desk right now, and they need some love, so I thought just sleeve up an old school deck, make it like a casual day. And Sunday is gonna be the big legacy main event. So I have 3 decks ready. They're all sleeved up and ready to go.
Are we gonna share what you're gonna play in old school? Because most people will probably be able to guess what you're gonna play in modern and legacy.
Yeah, in old school it's gonna be like my own brew.
Ooh.
Yeah, well,
there's still brews left in old school.
Dude, I mean, there is no real metagame in old school because like people are so.
You just made a lot of enemies.
No, I mean, like, dude, I'm dead serious. Like, I don't think there is an actual metagame because, like, people just really don't care as much, like, old school. I think
it's just about playing the old cards, right?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, like, the deck is the thing, from what I can understand. But there's a bunch of cool stuff that, like, gives it a hard time. Like, the Underworld Dreams deck is really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, like, decks and stuff.
But also, I feel like a lot of people play Disenchant.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to play like a deck which is a little harder to hate. So what I'm playing is a 5-color, but like a 3-color aggro deck, which then transforms into a control deck. So I'm playing I'm playing Savannah Lions and Serra Angels, and backed up by Lightning Bolts and Chain Lightnings, Psionic Blasts, Counter Spells, Disenchants, and then obviously like the Power 9 cards and Mind Twist and whatnot. But
sounds really cool.
But yeah, so it kind of looks like, a Savannah Line deck with just a bunch of burn, but post-sideboard, I'm going to swap all those Savannah Lines and most of the burn for things like Sylvan Library, and Red Blasts, Blue Blasts, additional Counter Magic, and Shivan Dragons. So I'm going to I'm going to lean all back and, just trying to be like the deck myself, just
how
kind of
iconic is that, playing Serra Angels and Shivan Dragons?
Dude, it's
awesome.
gas.
You're going to get the flavor award.
Well, the problem with this deck is that, like, since it is like 5 colors, Shivan Dragon is actually pretty embarrassing because I can't really pump it as much. It's kind of like I'm gonna do it once maybe.
Oh, it's just gonna be your 5/5 flyer. Or wait, is it 6/6?
No, it's a 5/5.
It's a 5/5. Okay,
yeah.
For a
That's
second,
already, big body.
Cool. Good luck at that. I really wanted to come. I was planning to get back from my last trip and book it and stuff, but I spent too much money out in America, so I'm being sensible.
Yeah.
Next time.
You bought too many machetes and
too many beers, too many
that's the real thing.
$10 for a sip of a beer. Yeah.
Oh man, the real struggle.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, best of luck for that. I think you're gonna have coverage, right? That there's gonna be some live stream,
yes.
I would guess.
And guess what? It's not only like Andreas Petersen from Denmark who's doing the coverage. Also Andrea Mengucci, the guy who I almost hugged, is also gonna be there at the coverage team alongside
great.
Simon Nielsen. So yeah, it's gonna be gas. It's gonna be so cool.
I think we're gonna link the stream
team
in the show notes if you already know where it's gonna be, but we probably will.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we're definitely gonna record next month when you will tell us all about how you won the old school event. Your Mr. Does your deck have a name? You still have like 1 week to come up with a name or something.
I have 1 day to come up with a name.
No,
yeah.
I mean for the next episode.
Oh, for the next episode, sure.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I will think about something.
Awesome. In the meantime, Callum, how have you been? How's it going in good old England?
Good old England. It's been grey. Nothing going on. Just exactly as you expect. I've just been settling back into things after being away for a while, so nothing super interesting. Played Paper Legacy again last night. I put like 100 cards on my desk everywhere. I was like trying to brew a Kappa Cannoneer, Asmo, Underworld cookbook deck and stuff. And I was like, where are we going with this? Maybe this, blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, I was like, fuck it, I'm just building Painter again. And had fun
The
playing Painter
eternal
again.
love.
Yeah, it was just the best. It was sweet. Otherwise, yeah, I'm afraid nothing really new to report. Just
living your best life,
just
or
living my
working
best
on doing
life.
it.
Yeah, just thinking about ways of like getting out of here and going on tour again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I feel like those are the two big things you've talked about on the last episodes. You want to move to, say, Italy,
Yeah,
and you want to go on tour again.
yeah. So
Do it.
we're working on it. I am working on it. How about you? You up to anything since you're back?
Work, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
more work than I wanted to do, but I mean, well, I guess I could go home at any time, and yeah. Anyways, one thing I realized I absolutely love is photography. Like when I bought this camera, like it was for streaming and everything, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do like vlogging and everything, and I still want to do that, but I had no idea that I would enjoy photography so much, and I'm still like absolute beginner. I have no idea what I'm doing. When I go into Lightroom and I edit, I'm like, oh, slide here, slide left, slide right. Okay, this looks cool. But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and I especially did a lot of like sport shooting in Kenya for mainly kite surfing, and I absolutely love the results. Like, especially given that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last week I was actually looking into like the thing you do, right? I have this camera and it's really good, and I feel like, oh, but if I got this camera, that's even better. It's not even about that I could take better pictures, because I haven't even reached the potential of my camera and my lenses yet. It's just like I had it in my hands because one of the guys I was traveling in Kenya with, he had a similar camera, and I had it in my hands, and I was like, holy shit, this is what it must feel like to buy the car you always wanted. Because I'm really not a car person. Like I'm like, I drive whatever I have until it breaks down. But when it comes to like technical gadgets, I'm like, oh, that's the shit.
Oh wow! Like how long did it take you to become like a? Can I call you like a semi-professional photographer?
No, it's far from. Like I call myself a passionate amateur. That's
because
as far as
because
I
those
push it.
pictures, like you gotta like link them in the show notes. They look really, really good. It's like almost like Shutterstock photographs. Just kind of like needing like the watermark on top, but they really look decent enough, I think, so that people would pay actual decent money.
But I bought the camera almost exactly 2 years ago. I think almost to the day exactly 2 years ago. And then I just like learned so much from YouTube videos and trying. But this was the first real session in Kenya. And one thing that really helped was just like doing it almost every single day. Whereas like when I'm here, I would sometimes go to Munich, shoot here and there. But I was in Kenya for almost 3 weeks, and I literally carried around my backpack with all my lenses and equipment and a camera for almost every single day. And like even our employees at the hotel, they joked about how I'm the guy with the backpack. But yeah, I think when you do it every day and you really get to like appreciate all the things that the camera can do, you start growing with it. And I'm still far from outgrowing the potential of the camera. That's why me looking at even better cameras is really just like, oh, I love it. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. And the thing is, I didn't expect to enjoy photography so much until I started doing it for 3 weeks, and now I want to do it even more.
So if the camera is really good, like do you also need to do a lot of like After Effects or like some editings later, or is it almost like unnecessary?
It's that's the thing I didn't initially believe when I got into it, but everybody tells you that the lenses matter even more, and it's actually true. Like the camera almost feels like, yeah, you gotta have it, but it makes the workflow easier, or it has like certain requirements that you just gotta have for the lenses to shine. But then like once you get like a sharp, a good, a like really fast lens, it's so much more fun to shoot. And yeah, I think that's a big deal. And then of course, like After Effects, not After Effects, like Lightroom's the thing that most people use and that I use. You can go crazy. Like I have done some edits that are like very If you want to frame it in a positive way, it would be artsy, or you could also like call it over edited. And it depends on, right? For example, the sports shoot, most of the sports shots that I did, they have like minimal editing. It's really not all that much, except for a couple of ones in the evening where I went like really hard on it, and I really like those. So it's up to you what you want to do. Like if you would just like want to have a really crisp, nice picture of somebody doing kite surfing at perfect weather, then there's really not all that much editing to do. But if you want to go really artsy, of course you can go deep.
Yeah. And since we were like talking about like proper tournament coverage, like if you look at like old coverages from like 10 years back or like 20 years back, like photographs were like not really that high quality. Like now that you look now that you look at them again, but like if you had like someone who takes like actual decent photos of the event, of the players, of the decks and so on, that'd be like something, like maybe like the future of like just events in general.
I mean, I guess it depends. I think if you like watch the proto stuff from 10 years ago, it like the photography and everything is like really good, at least for like the stage shots like of winners and everything. And I think if you go even further back, it's not a matter of like whether like the technology was available. It was just like that people used like some random camera, like toy camera almost they had, because just Magic wasn't all that big back then.
The potato phones, yeah.
Yeah, even before phones even had cameras in the first place. Right. But yeah, for Legacy especially, right? We have so much guerrilla coverage, like when people literally just recorded with the crappiest phone camera they ever had and uploaded. I remember at GP Madrid I did that. I brought out like back then not that great camera, and I recorded a couple of matches just sitting next to them, and I uploaded them. And then like 5 years later, the lawyer of one of the players actually messages me in Dutch, even because the player was Dutch, and I did like Google Translate. And turns out the player had asked the lawyer to contact me to remove his name and the video. And I was like,
wow.
This is so weird, but I'm gonna comply.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like the weirdest thing to me was that he would like send me a message in Dutch. I was like, come on, guy, you speak English. But yeah, that's it, and I absolutely enjoy it, especially like when you go on Safari and you have your telephoto and you can catch those amazing animals, like super crisp pictures from far away. Oh, I want more of that. You see me rubbing my hands together. Cool. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. In speaking of what other people have been up to, I think 1 week ago, was it a week ago, in the American States of United, this is totally wrong, USA.
Where are you going with that one?
I wanted to say the US of A.
Country,
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day. It's yeah. We had the Leaving a Legacy Open 8, and I think half the people who are at the name will only recognize it because they know what the 8 looks like, the Latin 8 and Final Fantasy 8. Here we go.
Oh, that's where it's from. Final Fantasy, not Latin.
Yeah. The big revelation. It's all fake. And yeah, so 103 players gathered in New England to compete for the Leaving a Legacy Open 8. It's actually really amazing that Pat and Cherry have been putting this tournament on for the 8th time now. I remember when it was the first time, and it's going strong.
Over 100 is sick. Yeah, it's really cool. They had coverage on Saturday. It's on the Living a Legacy Twitch, so I think they'll probably have the VODs. It's really cool. I was having a lazy Saturday just watching along. Yeah, let's run through. We got the top 8 decks, obviously, and then we've got the meta breakdown as well. So let's run through the top 8 decks, and then I'll let you take over with a bit of a breakdown if you want. So in first place, we had Mike Munchbach. I hope I say that right. On Blue Red Delver. I had a bit of a look, and it seems to be fairly stock. I keep looking out for that curse card in the sideboards because it's paper now, but there's not one here. Maddening Hex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. But none here. But yeah, pretty stock Blue Red Delver, taking it down as it does. In second place, we have Tom Kessler on Yorion Death and Taxes. Pretty standard here. Well, sorry, excuse me. 2 Extraction Specialists. Is that the new? That's the new like. So no, it's not the one I was thinking of actually. This is a kind of like it's a 3-mana 3/2 lifelink human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, you return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature can't attack or block for as long as you control Extraction and Specialist. I saw this card putting in some pretty good work in the top 8. I can't remember exactly the matchup it was against, but he was returning like Thalia, so like has an effect on the game even while the specialist is in play. And a 3/2 lifelink is relevant for D&T obviously because there's equipment going around, can be vialed in to bring stuff back, bring back Stoneforge Mystic and Mother Runes and stuff. So we don't see this card very often, so that's pretty cool.
That card is really cool.
Yeah.
Like even if you bring back something like, yes, you already mentioned Stoneforge, right? And you got Spirit of the Labyrinth, you got Mother Thalia, Cathar Commando to reuse it, Lion Slash.
Yeah, there's a lot of targets actually. That's super cool. And having 2 shows that it's more than like they must have played it before this, and it shows more than just a one-off to go and search for with Recruit of the Guard. This is a card they're happy to search for and draw, I think, by having 2 copies in the deck. So that's cool. I wonder if we'll see it pop up more often.
Let me check. Is it rare? Of course, it's rare. Everything is rare these days.
It's from Streets of New Capenna, so it's very new. So that may be why I haven't seen it too much. That's mostly it. There's 2 Eiganjo, Seat of the Empire, which is not always super common, but it's a nice land that kills stuff in combat. Then in 3rd place, we have Nick Bonnyman with Blue Red Delver. Looks pretty standard to me again. You've got the normal suite of creatures, Delver, Murktide, DRC, 1 Borrower, no Maddening Hex in the sideboard as well. So pretty standard Blue Red Delver deck in 3rd place. In 4th, we have Joe Conandos on 8-cast. This is looking pretty standard as well. We've got the Shadow Spear back in the main, like Andrea didn't have it. We talked about on the last episode.
Yeah.
2 Metallic Rebuke in the sideboard's pretty cool. You don't see that too often. I wonder how that was.
Isn't that like mostly like a modern card?
Metallic Rebuke, yeah. It's played in a lot of the kind of... There's like blue-white Stoneforge / Urza mid-range Thopter Sword decks in that, so that uses it. But yeah, I've not seen it much at all, like a couple of times ever in Legacy, so...
It's the Mana Leak that costs 3 mana, but it has like...
Improvise. Yes.
Exactly.
Improvise.
Yeah. This is improvising everywhere with the Kappa as well.
Right. And like similar to like Mystical Dispute, like paying 3 mana is literally almost like a hard counter, I think. Like Spell Pierce, Spell Pierce has like some moments where it's actually kind of dead in your hand, but like paying 3 extra mana is kind of impossible, I think, in both Modern and Legacy. It's just, like the formats are so fast, and like people have so many powerful spells that they tap out more often, and you almost never have that like spare mana. So it almost reads like almost like a 1 mana counter target spell, which I think is super, super decent.
This deck could apply like some pretty fast pressure as well, so it makes people to play into things. Whereas like you wouldn't want a 1 mana leak probably in the control decks. Whereas here it's like, when you're playing your Size and Kappa Cannoneers and Emery that's threatening to draw lots of cards of baubles, you are making people play into the mana leak effect.
Yeah, totally. Like if you look at the amount of counters, like that's like 10. It can go up to 10 counters post sideboard. I think if plays like 4 Force of Wills in the main and Force of Negation, the full set in the sideboard, and then 2 Rebukes. So I'm not a specialist on 8-cast, but what I believe is that they probably want to like max out on counters to counter the like meltdowns and like those like super aggressive hate cards, right? Like if you can somewhat like overcome them, then life's good, I think.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
decks are powerful.
I think I've mentioned this before on the cast before, but I was struggling with 8-cast when it was like starting to have its breakout and stuff. I just couldn't beat Delver. I was like, what is going on? This deck, you've got your Chalice, you've got the big creatures and stuff. And I just couldn't work it out. And then Bob Wang told me, Callum, stop boarding out Force of Wills and board in Force of Negations and counter their meltdown. I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Right. Yeah. So I think that's the right approach.
Also, real nice that it's like a Metallic Rebuke is like a 1 mana counter, but it goes through Chalice of the Void so nicely.
Yeah. Because you sometimes see what's the blue one called again? Mystical Dispute. Yeah. You do sometimes see that in these decks. I've seen 2 or 3 in the sideboards as well. But Metallic Rebuke is it's similar, but I guess could be better against some different combo decks.
Yeah, a little more flexible. Yeah, like that a lot.
Then in 5th place we have Roland Chang of I think 90s MTG fame.
Hell yeah!
With his all Japanese foil decks of every kind.
Ooh,
crazy to see on stream. So he's playing Yuri on D&T. This is pretty standard. There's not any of the whatever they're called, the extraction specialists.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, otherwise
I guess there's a one of Phyrexian Revoker, which we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's so old school.
Yeah, I actually have that highlighted on my spreadsheet thing. It's like, oh, yeah. It's not like crazy, but it's also, not something we've seen for a while. Remember the days of D&T playing 4 of the main deck?
Right.
Yeah, that was like every list started with 4 of those and a couple of other ones.
Yeah.
I think the other ones have pretty much held up, like Mother, Thalia, Stoneforge.
Yeah.
Is it still 4? Yeah, for at least for him, it's 4 Flicker Wisp. Like, those are the old school crew of Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
Even though people sometimes start cutting Flicker Wisps.
XJ very often plays 3, and so does Luanil. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that Flicker Wisp is not part of that crowd, but Mother, Stoneforge, and Thalia keeping it strong.
Yeah, old school cool.
Yeah. Next, we have Tony Scapone. He is the Epic Gamble creator. He streams. He's been playing the deck for a huge amount of time now. He's done tons of work for it, so it's really cool to see him put up a result. I'm not going to dare say what's stuck or not because I don't know at all.
I mean, all of those cards are cards I've played against whenever I faced the deck on Magic Online.
It looks pretty normal. Like, there's 3 Overmaster. I'm not sure that's totally normal.
Oh yeah, actually, that's a new thing. Like, I only started seeing those cards, I think, this week. Maybe somebody copied this list when I played them on Magic Online.
I'm also going to say, I think whoever's written out the list is wrong because they've written 3 Galvanic Blast, but that's the Metalcraft deals 4 damage. I thought it was a shock. Pretty sure that's Galvanic Relay.
Yeah, it's I mean, this deck runs a decent amount of artifacts, so you never know.
It definitely could be a 4 damage spell. Right. We'll have to find out, but I'm pretty sure, because I think these decklists are published, but I'm sure that's Relay. Otherwise, you've got your Wish, you've got Echo of Eons, then you've got like Chromoxes, Lands of Diamonds, Lotus Petals, Mox Opal, Defense Grids, Fulgrim Monolith. I don't think that's totally normal as well. This is like it is actually a Galvanic Relay deck, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's just like have a bunch of spells and a relay in your hand. You just fire them off and then win the next turn.
Right.
Like otherwise, the other most common ways of winning is the flip side of Burgi. So you play Burgi as the 3-mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, you get a red mana. But the other side is a 5-mana artifact where you can discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of your library and you can play them. So whenever I've seen him streaming and other people play the deck, like you very often either do like a relay for 10+, or you just go off with the horn, and either one like is kind of non-deterministic but 95% deterministic or maybe more. So it's a super cool deck to play. Like it can have turn 1 and 2 wins pretty commonly, and it just kind of like brute forces through counter spells. So it's pretty sweet.
I also like how much initial mana and fast mana this deck has. Like it has so many sources that go from 0 mana to 1 mana. Like between the Spirit Guides, Mox Opal, Chromox, Lotus Petal, LEDs of some sort if you have the Draw 7, the Echo of Aeons, which by the way goes very well with the Overmasters.
Yeah,
but I think like this deck is like surprisingly, maybe not even surprisingly, but it is just really grindy. The deck, I think, like if you play Control, you might. This is not the deck which basically you can defeat by just having like 1 Force of Will or 2.
Yeah, this is definitely not Belcher.
That's not how it works. Yeah,
it's because it has 9 lands in it. Like so, there's 4 Ancient Tombs, 2 City of Traders, 1 Volcanic Island, and 2 Shadow Skull Smashing. And then it's just like, as you said, so much fast mana. So the fast mana, like especially being spells, apart from the Spirit Guides, like just plays so well with both Echo of Eons and the what's it called, Galvanic Relays. Because the Galvanic Relay, you're just gonna like play out all your fast mana. Turn 1, you have 3 or 4 quote unquote lands, and then you're drawing 5 or 6 more cards next turn, and then you relay into another relay, and it continues. Right. Or you have like an LED and an Echo of Eons, and I think you just probably turn 1 it a lot. Like, so you should restart the game. You both have 7 cards, but you've got 3 lands in play. You're in an advantage, and so totally agree that it just there are 4 defense grids as well, which are kind of like must counters. But otherwise, it just you counter a thing, I'm going to do it again. You counter a thing, I'm going to do it again, and it just kind of keeps.
The deck is pretty ugly to play against. Whenever I'm facing it with a blue deck, I don't love playing against it because you try to hit like the big haymakers, right? But it's not always that easy, especially once Galvanic Relay is involved. And whenever a deck is like ugly to play against from a strategic point of view, you know that it's not that bad.
Right. Yeah. So it's cool because Ruby Storm's always been a kind of it's been fine, but not great. It's been like a bit quirky, and it's never been as good as the other Storm decks. But Tony saw something here, and he's again just worked on it for probably the last year or two that I remember.
Yeah,
The
like another
epic gambler.
yeah, another thing I really like about this deck, I'm just seeing it now, is that it is basically mono red. So the third most played counter in form of Pyroblast just literally doesn't do anything against this deck, I think.
I guess
There's
Echo of Eons,
Echo of
but you
Eons.
wouldn't
Oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, scratch that. Okay.
but I guess you wouldn't bring it in, right?
I would.
Unless you have some. I mean, if you have totally dead cards in your main deck, which you might have,
Yeah.
then you would. But it's not one of the first
Yeah.
cards you're looking at.
I guess,
It's-
yeah, okay, well then I guess you have to go Overmaster first, which can't be Pyroblast yet, so well,
There we go,
take
there we go.
that, take that.
Yeah, all right, Kai wins.
We figured it out.
Yeah, very cool. All right, next place we have Ezra Christensen playing, I guess, Naya Depths, which is basically green-white depths splashing blasts. One Red Elemental Blast main deck, and then how many more on the sideboard? We got
2 more, I think.
2 more on the sideboard. Yep, 2 more Pirate Blast sideboard. What I think is really cool, this is a guess, so Ezra, if you're listening, or anyone else that's friends with Ezra, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 Mox Diamonds in this list. I know that Ezra won the SCG 10K like a good few months ago, and it was really cool when we covered it because there was like no Mox Diamonds, and I read that it was just because he doesn't own them. So absolutely smashed it with that. And I like to think that this is, acquiring the deck over time. That's my best guess. I think it's really cool to see, if so. Maybe he's going to come back and be like, no, I think 2 Mox Diamonds is right. But anyway, I think that's what it is. Like maybe, putting the winnings of the 10K towards them. Super cool.
Yeah.
You know what? We say it every time. Green White Depths is just like consistently good, consistently underrated, I think. And it's just putting up another result.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do against the deck? Like, there's nothing you can really like do against it. I mean, it's.
I mean, kill him turn 1 with Echo of Eons and
Yeah,
Galvan
I mean,
Relay.
that's the least qualified professional thing I've ever said. But like, you
Right.
look at it, and,
Like you shuffle up and you're already dead.
no, that's not even what I mean. But it's just like they can play the straight up Maverick game of just like playing creatures, tapping them and attacking you and denying your resources with like Wasteland and Rammer Excavator. Like I love how I say the card, by the way. I can't pronounce the first word, so I just go like that's how you pronounce it, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
or they can like fucking kill you on the spot as you tap out. Like they're almost like that. They also have the Splinter Twin aspect, and you sometimes just don't see it coming because they also have the crop rotations and stuff, and Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. And I mean, yeah, technically you can see it coming in, but you can't always give them credit for it. Otherwise, like your game plan is going to be way too slow and sluggish sometimes. I can't say I hate playing against it, but it's not easy.
Tough. It's a fantastic deck. Whenever I'm playing Painter against Depths, I always found the black base versions quite easy. Well, much easier at least because you have the blast interact with their combo and stuff. But then Painter's deck like plays the board, so you very often like go under the discard. But whenever I'm against green white, I'm like trying to not get wastelanded out or die to a knight, and then they sometimes just go like turn 1 Mox Diamond land, play a something or other, turn 2 just like crop for the combo and kill you the next turn and stuff. It can be blisteringly fast, and at the same time super grindy, as you say.
Yeah, the worst feeling in the world is when they get to do Elfish Reclaimer on turn 2, putting away Flagstones. I hate it so much. It feels like cheating.
That's Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
It's also a deck with just like it's so many tutors. There's so many tutors in it. You have Crop Rotation, you have Greenstone Zenith, you have Elvish Reclaimer, Sylvan Library for like
Knight.
drawing and filtering, Knight as well.
You might as well just have your entire deck in your hand. Like,
Yeah.
when the game begins, you just like, you pick up your deck, you're like, you will allow? Okay, thank you very much. I will
actually-
pick this opening 7.
He plays 3 stays, 3 depths. And it's that's the combo deck, but like, yeah, there's just so many tutors.
I mean, with that amount of tutoring, I can definitely see why you would at least cut back on the Dark Depth.
Yeah,
if
for
not
sure.
the stage as well.
Yeah. And then there's just so many like targets. So like Maze of Earth, Paducah Bog, Caracas, 2 Sijiri Step, because very often you're using a step to like protect a knight as well. And then you said the Wastelands, Flagstones package. It's just, very good.
Yeah, this is the kind of deck that I like to call like a scrap grinder or a scrap crusher. It's just like when you don't really know what you're doing against the deck, they will just like outplay you left and right.
This will, if people don't know how, like, what is in the Green White Depths deck, like, the second Sijiri Step is fair. It's common now, like, it's in almost every single list, but at the beginning, it wasn't super common knowledge, and I think the second one killed a lot of people.
The second one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the second step. But,
Oh, man.
great deck, cool deck. And finally, we have Jonathan Castagna on the Epic Storm. So we had the Epic Gamble and the Epic Storm. Pretty cool. We got a bunch of artifacts, a bunch of fast mana, Wishclaw Talismans, Ponder, Brainstorm, Veils, 1 Echo Vions, 1 Relay. Looks pretty... You know, the Tez aficionados would be like, yeah, this is version 11.2. And
11.25b.
yeah, I'm not up to date, I'm afraid.
Danish variant or something.
Gonna go on a limb saying this is their latest version.
Yeah, Brian Cook special.
Hell yeah. Love to see it. It's cool top 8, actually. So 2 Blue-Red Delvers, 2 D&Ts, but then we have like 2 Storm decks, and we have Depths, and we had another combo deck in the Epic Gamble.
Yeah.
Pretty split between fair,
Right.
and the fair was split between like blue fair and non-blue fair, and then 4 combo decks.
Yeah. Yeah, also the metagame as a whole like looked pretty healthy especially for a paper tournament. I mean we always see that, and I think we're gonna talk about that later on in the episode. That paper is not as fluid as it is in Magic Online, where like let's say 60% of people have a rental account, if not more, and they can just like jump into anything they need. Whereas in paper, it's not that easy, as everybody probably can attest to. So in this tournament, we had 103 players, of which 13.6% played. Okay, let's call it 14. Where 14% played Jeskai Control, 11% played 8cast, 11% played Blue-Red Delver, and then...
Those are actually the number of players as well. 14 on Just Control, and then 11 on 8cast and Delver.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty much that, right? Because we got almost 100 players. So
yeah.
You know, why don't we go with absolute numbers? Let's say it's 100 players, even though it's 103. Yeah. So 14 Jeskai Control, 11 8cast, 11 Blue-Red Delver, and then we have 6 on Naya Depth, we have 5 on Death and Texas, 4 on Reanimator, and then there's a bunch of like 3 and 2 and 1 off decks. Like Cephalid Breakfast is there as with 2 players, 8 Mulch. It's like this is like you look at this. Actually, let me count. This is 48 minus 4. We got 45 different decks. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's so much variation.
Almost every other deck in the tournament was like a different archetype.
Have you seen the name of row 45?
Oh yeah, that actually caught my attention. I want to bring that up. That's cat control. I have no. Is that the one you talked about on the last episode? The Displacer Kitten or something?
I think so.
I have to guess that. Yeah.
So.
The one person playing that deck's like, no, I've been working my entire life on cat control.
It's like actual cats, like Aether Vial deck.
Sovereign of the Pride. Or whatever it's called.
Pride of the Seven Claws or whatever it's called. Like a 3-1 for 2. Vanilla.
Yeah. Control deck.
Yeah, like another thing which really sticks out in this metagame is that the most played deck, Jeskai Control, does not see any finish in the top 8.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, what happened to Jeskai Control?
I mean, it's cute people trying to play Batterskull in Legacy still. No. I mean, they don't play Stoneforge usually. I mean, it just happens. We all know how these paper tournaments happen. I think Jeskai has seen some results on Magic Online from what I've seen over the last month. It's one of those decks that's never really bad, right? It plays like all the cantrips, some of the best removal in the format, Force of Will, and then you gotta put that into action. Like whether you go the let's say Narset route, and people still sometimes play the what's the one Days Undoing stuff, but a lot of people don't even do that anymore. It's just like, I want to call it like the blue good stuff deck these days, even though I guess that also qualifies for like all the 4-color variants. It's just
I gotta
love that kind of magic.
I think the deck is really bad, but it's clearly very popular.
Thank you very much.
I don't mind blue control decks, and I don't mind blue mid-range decks. It feels. I know it has a bunch of cantrips, and there are some powerful cards in Teferi and Narset. Just feels, whenever I'm playing against it, it's just like very easy to beat. I don't know how else to put it. Like,
give it to them.
They have a very, very easy way of playing around their advantage, the way they generate advantage, which is very often through like the planeswalkers and stuff. Otherwise, they don't have stack-based card advantage like Miracles used to play Predict and stuff, and then Snapcaster Predict. That's a lot harder to interact with. Whereas if you are able to play around the right bits of removal at the right time when you're used to it, and then you just have like enough board presence to attack down their planeswalkers, they never get a chance to like pull ahead on a bit of tempo and stuff. Like the Days Undoing combo is the only thing I think that's kind of good about it, as bad as the cards can feel sometimes, because they have an unfair slant to it. So I've got a picture of like an Esper Displacer Kitten deck in front of me, and I think this is the direction that these players who like the blue-white X control deck should start to take, because Teferi is incredible, and he combos with Displacer Kitten, and you can do some really unfair stuff with that, but otherwise, you just don't have a great way to end the game, I think. Like, there's a couple of mentors, but there's more removal and legacy than ever with like prismatic ending as well, and swords and this and that. And then like the planeswalkers, they come down, they get you a card, and then they often get attacked down, and it's just
It's funny you mentioned that, because I've had the same experience whenever I play against these decks, and I recently played a bit of Maverick and of course Elves. I would sometimes just like bring all the endurances in the world into my main deck, just because I can actually like put them into an awkward position where they don't know whether they can drop their planeswalker, because there's going to be an endurance either in response or like at the end of turn. And I don't know, like a 3/4 attacks past Snapcaster, whatever they might even have. It's great. It's great. 3/4 flash, 3 mana, and sometimes you interact with the graveyard. You don't even need to. It feels weird, but if that card is good against your deck,
I guess I forgot there's expressive iterations, so they do have like stat-based ways to get cards advantage, but I don't know. My point still stands. It feels like that. There are some versions playing Murktide, which I think are better, and because they just close the game in a couple of turns. But yeah,
that's the one version. Like I think I talked about that like 2 or 3 months ago, where those decks started coming back, and I saw a Chesky deck that committed to Murktide, and I think also Dragon Rage Channeler, and was much less heavy on Planeswalkers. It was more like an extra thing they might have. And that one I liked a lot back then. I don't know how well that's doing these days and how good that is, but if it has Murktide, it can only be so bad.
I think Mentor's really good as well. They do often play like one Mentor in the main or something, and then I think I'd play 2 or 3, but But be aggressive.
But going back to the metagame, this actually blows me away. 45 different archetypes, actually 46 different archetypes in a field of 103 players. That's literally 50%. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'd love to see like a other.
This is paper. This is absolute paper.
Yeah, it is. Very cool. It's also like just there's some real just stuff you haven't seen in ages. There's like you got Manaless Dredge, Pox, Food Chain Goblins, Shadow Depths. I guess that's the mono black thing that's been going around recently. Madness Burn, one Bant control. Jessica control's completely taken over from Bant. Uro's just like disappeared.
Yeah, it's completely gone, yeah. Also, there's no Doomsday deck. Man, what a shame.
Oh, shit.
There's not a single Doomsday deck. What's going on?
That's crazy.
America still needs to like listen to the gospel that is Doomsday.
Oh, this wasn't America, right? Now, like, no wonder that Jessica Control was the most played deck. That's like...
Might as well be Italy. But if it was Italy, it would be like 30 people on Jessica
I was about
Control.
to say, Italy would be like half the field.
Yeah, represent.
Yeah.
Cool. So shout outs to the Leaving a Legacy crew, Cherry and Pat, for putting on these events. That's absolutely amazing. We want to see number 9. We want to see whether you know how to write 9 and without consulting Final Fantasy first.
Thank you.
There was an even bigger tournament though. Last Sunday. It was 315 players. It's not the largest event to ever take place in Magic Online, but certainly one of the largest legacy events I've ever seen in Magic Online.
These are usually like 250-ish.
Exactly, right?
This is big.
Yeah, I'm just blown away how different this is, at least with regards to the most played deck, because Blue Red Delver put up 28% of the decks played in the event. I think that's a total of 78 players out of 315. And that's what I mean, right, with the metagame being more fluid.
Absurd.
The second most played
so
deck.
Much. Holy moly.
It's crazy. Second most played deck is actually Dragon Stompy, or as people call it, like Moon Stompy. There's even like
Blood Moon Aggro is the terrible name now. Ugh.
Oh, that's what they call it? Okay.
Well, I've seen it around.
What about Blood Moon Combo?
I would say Blood Moon Prison, no? Like, has it ever been like a true aggro deck? I don't know.
It is now,
like,
because they play loads of creatures. In the past, it was like an Ensnaring Bridge and Chandra deck. Now it's like
but at the very beginning, like going back to like 2008, it was
Dragon.
Like, yeah.
It's the actual dragon deck, yeah.
Rakdos Pit Dragon.
Rakdos Pit Dragon and Gathering Riders. Like the Morphon where you discard a card and it turns into a 5/5.
And your boy Arcslogger, don't forget him.
One day it shall return and it shall be glorious.
I saw a thing on Twitter saying like a guy played against Arcslogger in Legacy.
I hope they gave him some kind of like medal.
It was just reliving past glories, I think.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, cool. 9% Dragon Stompy, and then 7% Jeskai Control, 7% 8 cast. That's fairly expected. But this is more Blue Red Delver than expected. Do you know how well the decks did and stuff?
It depends on. So we got the win rate without mirrors. I guess at this point we can kind of estimate it because that's a pretty big sample size. It had a win rate of 53% without the mirror, of course. I mean, that's good. It's not spectacular. Wizards usually like cuts it off at like 55. Like once the most played deck consistently has like 55 plus win rate, especially against the most played decks, they're like, oh, we got to do something. But they also wouldn't be looking at just like the single event, like because in the if you look at all the data they have, and I would give them credit that they can like not only manually but somehow. Actually, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't be surprised if they manually assign the deck category to those decks.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I also don't know like how true the 50-something% is, because I think Druid Delver is currently focusing so much on beating the mirror game.
Yeah.
Because they can beat anything else. It's like if you look at the main decks, I think I saw the deck list of like Daniel Götzschel the other day, and he played a Blue Delver deck without Wastelands, for example. He played 0 Wastelands.
Oh, you're right.
He played 0 Wastelands, but he had I think up to 15 creatures or something like that. He had
16.
16 maybe, like he has so many creatures, basically, like the and including a full set of Ledger Shredder, for example, which is kind of like a trump card in the mirror game, things like that. So I just don't think that Blue Delver really cares too much about other decks these days.
That sounds so familiar. Remember,
as sad as it sounds, yeah.
Like, remember when Ragavan was around? That's exactly what we said about the deck when Ragavan was around, where people even said, like, it's actually getting bad after Ragavan gets banned, because all of a sudden it's not that focused on beating mirror, and it can, like, open up slots to attack the other decks. Yeah. If you look at Daniel's deck, Ghoul to Cut in 9th place in this tournament, probably missed it on Breakers. He's got, like you mentioned, 16 creatures and no Wastelands. That actually totally escaped my eye, but you're right. He just added more, looks like, fetch lands, and the fourth volcanic island is stand up, but just more fetch. Wait, he's down to 14 mana sources. He didn't actually compensate. He just madman.
He literally just cut the wastelands. And what's so crazy about this is because like wastelands can at least help cast a Ledger Shredder, right? I mean, that's the only creature it can actually cast, the wasteland. But
that's the only main deck card other than
they cast Mishra's
Brazen Burrower.
Right, it's also like I think he plays like the full set of Mishra's Bauble, so it's just really like a modern deck, really. I think there are modern Red Delver deck lists with like almost up to 16 creatures at this point, and they do play the full set of Baubles. They basically like the best Surveil Delirium deck, and I think that's just what they
actually the converted mana cost. Sorry to interrupt you there, but this is blowing me away. The converted mana cost of the spells in this deck is actually I've almost never seen something like this in a non-combo deck. There's almost like, okay, Murktide, whatever. I would cut the count that as 2, I guess, but everything else, even the sideboard, is like 1, 1, 1.
Shredder's 2, and then Expected Restoration is like 2, kind of 3.
Actually, yeah, that's true. That's true. That kind of increases it.
But this is a very, very good Expressive Iteration deck also, because it plays the full set of Mishra's Bauble and very few lands.
I enjoyed that so much. When I played a lot of Blue Delver before I went to Kenya, I grabbed a list that had 4 Mishra's Bauble, and I was never looking back. I understand why people sometimes want to cut them, but they synergized so heavily with the rest of the deck. I absolutely love that.
I love the 2 Unlicensed Hearse in this sideboard as well. I played 2 in Painter at my store last night, and I played against Delver in one of the rounds, and like in game 2 I played one and just absolutely single-handedly won the game, keeping them off Murktide, keeping Dragon Rage Challenge off Delirium, and then basically attacking for the win. I had to combo just before attacking with the win, which is a shame, but so it goes. But so like talking to my Delver opponent, who was Sahar from London, she's fantastic. She was saying how it's such a good trump in the Delver mirror because all that matters really is Murktide. The Delver is just all about Murktide. So this is why you have 2 Pyroblast main deck, you have 2 more to bring in, and then 2 Red Elemental Blasts as well. Daniel's playing 6 blasts, but the Hearses are like unblastable, unboltable, keep you off DRC and Murktide. So I think it's an amazing trump in the mirror.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's 9th place. Should we, one of you want to take us through the top 8?
Yeah, sure. So first place, we have Arkan, also known as Legacy Council, who I think snuck in as the only X and 2, and as it usually goes,
I gotta say, I love this because he is known for complaining about not having played Raw on Magic Online, so it's very fitting that he won after sneaking in as the only 7-2.
Yeah, and he played I almost want to call it check pile because it's like check pile in spirit, even though it plays white over green compared to the original check pile.
It's check pile. This is Thomas Marr's list. With he's added one land and he's put one prismatic ending over an Inquisition. Otherwise, I think it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
There's a Stony Stance.
Thomas also, like, recently, didn't Thomas top 8 the big event, the Four Seasons event in Italy the other week?
He did.
Yeah.
I was comparing the decks this afternoon because I knew you'd be talking about it, and it's 2 cards different in the main, 1 different in the sideboard, I think.
I don't know if this is the origin of him bringing back the deck, but Tomasz Vlacek from Prague told me that I think 2 months or something ago, they had a memorial event for one of their friends who had died, and they played it in Prague. And Tomasz actually brought back check pile for that event, and apparently he's stuck to it ever since. So yeah, this is
It's the check pile way.
This is the kind of deck I hate. Not even like with regards to playing against it or playing it. It's just like the spirit of it. But
just look at these hymns and this expressive iteration next to each other with those mana costs.
Yeah, I mean this is legacy Junt. Yeah, this is literally just Junt with force of will.
Moist Junt, as they call it.
moist Junt.
And there's also some white in it, so it's actually not all that Junty. But in spirit, it's very much a Junt type of gameplay.
It's evil Jeskai. Come on.
Evil. As if Jeskai wasn't already evil in the first place. This is just like
Jeskai is like nice. It's soft. It doesn't do anything exciting.
You don't sound too convinced.
You guys didn't play standard during Cons of Talk here, right? Because there was a
I did.
Because there was I think it was like
Dark Jeskai.
It was called Dark Jeskai, right? That was like the tier 1 deck back in the day. It was like a Tasigur.
It's flashback for Tasigur and Painful Truths and Colligan's Command.
Right, pretty much that.
And then it was like Goblin Dark
deck.
Dwellers to flashback the Colligan's Command and stuff.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
And then like Mantis Rider and stuff. when they had fetches and jewels in the same standard format.
Yeah, that was like a modern deck almost. Yeah.
So
Anyway.
what is this actually good against? Like, why are we seeing like Tomasz and Arkan play this? And don't tell me because they are Czech. That's not good enough.
No.
Look, it has Brainstorm and Ponder, and then tons of removal.
This is the level of analysis you tune in for, by the way.
Sorry?
I keep going.
It just looks like, okay, look, this deck can obviously be wastelanded out, and it can be dazed out. That's part of it. There's 20 lands. I know Thomas played 19 as well, the mad lad, but it plays so much removal. So 3 Prismatic Ending, 4 Baleful Strix, 4 Sorts of Plowshares, a Colligan's Command, and 3 Snapcaster Mage as well to get them back. The removal. Inquisition is also fantastic against Delver, just to clear bits and pieces, to resolve your like Teferi's through Pyroblast if you need to and stuff like that. I think this deck is just fantastic against Delver. It's going to just grind them out. Like, the curve is not that high. It stops at 1 Jace, and then the rest of 3 drops with Snapcasts and Teferi's, and there's still enough like card advantage. So I think this will beat Delver a lot of the time. And that's probably what he played against most.
Remember when we talked about? It must have been like a while back, but we compared like a couple of control decks, and I think someone said along those lines of like that Grixis has a pretty hard time fighting Uro, right? Because there's no efficient removal for Uro, but this deck is basically just like splashing the best white removal in a Grixis deck like that. That's how it looks to me, at least.
Absolutely.
And Teferi Time Raveler also fantastic with like all these ETB creatures. If you like, you can always bounce something, on your side if you have to. But again, I think like what this deck really does is like starting from turn 1, it's really just gonna try to change as many resources with your opponent, and then slowly like 2 for 1, 2 for 1, 2 for 1, 3 for 1, the way out. The biggest weakness of this deck, probably the mana base. It looks somewhat
atrocious.
Yeah, like I mean, this deck is trying to cast him to Torok on turn 2 and Expressive Iteration on turn 3, right?
Also having access to white on the first
turn.
turn.
Yeah.
Turn 1 Underground Sea, Inquisition you. Turn 2 Badlands, him you. Turn 3 Iteration. Easy.
Yeah, turn 3 Tundra for Iteration, but then you can't. Oh no, you can. I guess you can plow.
Yeah.
You can also just like play a land of iteration.
Right.
Easy. Man is perfect. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for Tomasz, but I think I once watched him playing in a tournament where he was losing his win and into Dragonstomp just because of the mana base. And Like I'm friendly with him and everything. It's just like the decks he plays are the absolute opposite of whatever I want to play. So I wasn't happy for him to lose. I was happy for that kind of deck to lose. And when I walked to the table and I saw like a Blood Moon there and like all like the lands and played it, nothing, 7 cards in hand, and I've turned this card, like, yeah, this is what you get for playing this deck.
Yeah, I mean, he like anyone playing this deck knows that it's weak to Blood Moon. It is what it is. I know that when Astrolabe was legal, he only played 3 Astrolabes because he was like, I just fetch for the jewels I need to cast my spells. I don't give a shit about Wasteland. So.
Also, like, give this deck like another week or two, and then we might even see Yorion in the sideboard. Because this deck's like it can somewhat make use of Yorion pretty well.
Yeah, I think we need to add green as well, just to.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next deck?
Please. Yeah, go for it.
Please.
So we got First to Thirst, one of the coolest names on Magic Online ever since the account was created, I guess. Playing, it says the Epic Storm, and I guess it actually is the Epic Storm. Is this the standard list? Is this version 13.4 alpha or something? Wishclaw Talisman, 4 Veil of Summer?
Yeah, it looks pretty similar to the last one.
Honestly, we probably keep saying that. I don't even know whether the last list we looked at actually had 4 Veil of Summer, but they probably had.
I think so. I mean, the card's really potent.
Honestly, like when Brian talks about like the different versions, I think it's mostly sideboard cards, and then maybe a dual changing in the main depending on which kind of sideboard card you have or haven't.
Yeah.
Main deck. It feels like this main deck has existed for an eternity almost.
Well, they were playing white not too long ago.
For Chansons, yeah.
For Chance and Prismatic Ending. So I guess they've moved back to this kind of 4 color, but it's pretty fluid. Like, it does change a lot. So Brian's on a bit of a competitive EDH swing at the moment, so maybe he's not been working on it as much, but I'm not sure. This
competitive
looks like the last
EDH swing, is that what we call like a sabbatical?
Swing, yeah. Yeah, that's what he's playing. But yeah, it looks pretty standard to me. Can't say anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and we're not even going to try to say anything out of the ordinary. Good job, First to Thirst, second place. And moving on to third place, we have Bullwinkle 6705. That's one of the Sumas, right?
Yes, Isaac
on
Bullwinkle.
Blue-Red Delver. I think there's a pretty big overlap between being a Suma and playing Blue-Red Delver.
Well, it's not Delver. He's the one that's been he was doing Blue-Red Saga for a long time. There's no Sagas here now, but this is 3 Ledger Shredder, no Delvers. This is 2 days, 2 Predict, 2 Wasteland. Right. It's a mid-range deck.
Oh, this is basically Blue-Red Delver trying to next level the Blue-Red Delver.
Exactly.
By going
a little more fat,
step up.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, so there's, as we said, there's like your threat suite is 4 DRC, 4 Murktide, and 3 Ledger Shredder and 1 Burrower. So basically Shredders over Delvers in a sense, but then you got Express Filtration, Ponders, normal 4 Brainstorm, but then 2 days, 2 Predict is unusual. Like, so again, he's saying I'm trying to next level it and have more card advantage. So with 4 Express Iteration and 2 Predict, you're really banking on these spells to draw 2 and just pull ahead like that. And there's 2 Pyroblast in the main deck as well, which is pretty standard now. And then 18 land, 1 Sanctuary, and 2 Wasteland. 4 Bauble again. Bauble just plays so well with DRC and Shredder that it makes total sense. And also plays well
Predict.
Yeah. So it makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I mean, he's just constantly in the top 8 of these events.
Right.
However people talk about this deck, however they think it's good or bad, whether they think Delver should be there, he carries on picking up results while they talk about it.
That's one outrageous card in the sideboard.
Court Vire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known what that does.
What does it do?
Well, it's a 5 mana enchantment. Low legacy.
So that's like, before we hear what the card does, that's a massive statement to where he thinks that, like, what point the games are going to.
Yeah, exactly. So this is 3 colorless and 2 red. When Court of Ire enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, Court of Ire deals 2 damage to any target. If you're the monarch, it deals 7 damage to that player or permanent instead.
That's just crazy.
Like you mentioned, right? We cut a lot of the early game stuff and also some of the tempo stuff. We cut down to 2 days, 2 Wasteland. We removed all the Delvers. We have more of the mid-range stuff. And like Callum mentioned, right? This is a statement towards, you think, some of the games where you bring it in might navigate, where you play this. And I think Court of Cunning used to be a lot more common, but so is Pyroblast. So I guess
I was gonna say this can't be Pyroblasted. Oh my god! Yeah,
and it's also not a Planeswalker. So like, there's a lot of decks who might actually struggle removing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool. 2 counterbalance as well. Kind of goes along the same game plan. Like, just playing permanents that are hard to deal with. Can be pyroblasted, obviously. Can be countered, but once it's in play, it's hard to pyroblast. I've been watching like Jarvis U as always stream a lot recently, and whenever he's playing Legacy, like all the Delver decks have counterbalance, and they're just like every time it comes down, you're just like, God, this is so frustrating. Yeah. Sometimes it just blind flips, sometimes it doesn't. They obviously have tons of cantrips and bauble to help with it and stuff. So, yeah.
Imagine your opponent like forces something and then you reveal like Court of Ire. Oh my goodness. Yeah, call the ambulance. Oh gosh. You know what? But there's like something about this deck list that really makes me happy, like personally, because this deck and my modern blue-red Murktide deck do run exactly the same number of creatures and like exactly the same. It's 1 Brazen Borer, 4 Dragonrage Challenger, 3 Ledger Shredder, and 4 Murktide Regents. Oh no, excuse me. No, I do run Ragavans. Excuse me. Okay, well, no Dragonrage Challengers.
Oh, maybe you should play Ragavan in this deck actually.
Figuring it out one step at a time.
Oh yeah. Okay. Also, like Ragavan kind of supports Court of Ire now.
Close enough.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
The 1-drop supports the 5-drop.
Yeah.
Loving it. So in 4th place we have Garland on looks to be straight up green-red lands, right? The one interesting thing I see is there's a stomping ground instead of the 3rd tiger, which I guess
that's the Field of the Dead.
That's
exactly,
Field of the Dead.
Feeds the Field of the Dead.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
cool.
Pretty straightforward, right?
3 crop rotation is like trimmed one of them.
I think they may have to make a little room for like those extra copies of Endurance. I think in the main board, right? Probably. Like you can't fit everything at the same time.
I guess you could just like go over 60 cards.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yorion lands.
80 card lands. Here we
Make
go.
it even harder to find that exploration.
There's also just the 1 dot depths. Yeah, 2 Reclaimers kind of normal as well. But yeah, 1 dot depths and then 1 field. I've often seen people playing more depths in the main deck and then like 1 field in the sideboard for the slow matchups. But they split the difference here, and I guess they're just saying like, I'm gonna play control. It's more of a saga deck these days as well. So you got your 4 sagas, 3 stages. So yeah, I like the sideboard. I think very often in lands you see a lot of like 1 or 2 ofs here and there, but like this is 4 blasts, 4 sphere, 2 choke, 3 force of vigor, 2 surgical, like just multiples of cards that are good and do their job.
Yeah. This is my school of sideboarding, or of sideboard building. This, if you hire me to construct your sideboard, this is what you're gonna get.
It's gonna be 4 Progenitus, 4 Creative Behemoth.
Yeah. You gotta patch up that, I don't know, Eureka decks or something. I guess it wouldn't even be good against Eureka.
Put in my 4 Progenitus, okay.
And put in Kratos Behemoth, pass the turn.
Yeah.
Cool. So 5th place we got Progress Wizard, another top 8 regular, and this looks to be black-red Reanimator, splashing white, probably for Serenity. Yeah, Serenity, Red Hair, that's the white we got in the sideboard. Yeah. No Chancellor, actually the 1 of Chancellor in the main, 2 Archon of Cruelty, 4 Grief, 4 Grizzlebrand, 1 Sarah's Emissary. That's like a pretty usual selection. I think we've seen lists that played 4 Archon, basically before I went to Kenya, like a month or 2 ago.
I think they're still around, but like Grief is not always a 4 of as well. Sometimes 2 to 4. There are the other 3 chances in the sideboard as well, so I guess they come in on the play against a lot of decks, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't do the work out myself, but I know Matthew Vuk, aka Ozymandias17, he wrote a big thing about the results from this event, and he said Black Red Reanimator, like there's always one person in the top 8s of these showcase challenges, but it always does incredibly badly. Take of that what you will. I think it is a very high skill cap deck. Like Poker's Wizard, I'm pretty sure has done well with Reanimator multiple times in these big events, and I think it's much harder to play than people think.
I mean, outside of the games where it's just like you ruffle stomp your opponent, you really have to like pick your spot and sometimes like just go for the flashback Faithless Looting instead of going crazy. And that's something Eric Landon back then told me when I played the deck in the last Legacy Premier League many millennia ago. And he really opened up my eyes. I don't know if Eric, well, he's around. He's actually like crushing the legacy leagues. I don't know if he does coaching, but the kind of coaching I got from him about that deck, that's one of the things that I actually remember at widening my horizon about, well, I guess this deck, not Magic as a whole, but certainly this deck. And yeah, there's much more to it than I initially thought there is.
Yeah. So this deck's always gonna be around.
This version doesn't play the blue splash like you see sometimes with like show and tells in the sideboard, which I think is like
I hate it. You see it in
which
every
I think is
other league I play.
Which I think is like a really cool tech, just like punishing people for playing like Leyline of the Void, especially in leagues. Like it happens so often. But this list just doesn't even fuck around. It's just boom.
I think you rarely see that in the big events.
Yeah, because it sucks probably. Or maybe it doesn't suck, but it's just like it happens all the time in leagues when I play against the deck. And you sometimes just straight up just don't see it coming, and you also don't feel like you prepare for it. You got like your ley line, your endurance, your small little beater, and then all of a sudden, boom, Grizzlebrand.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
whoop.
6th place, Marcio Carvalho, K-Ball. He plays. Is this one of the older Blue-Red Delver lists? Well, we call it old. It's just like straight up standardish, right? Just one
like
Vicious Bobble, 2 Pyroblast main deck.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of crazy how standard 2 Pyroblast main deck is. Like we already started talking about when it became like one-off main deck as a standard thing. I don't know if people would do it in leagues. Like in leagues, I play against a lot of non-blue stuff, but in these big tournaments, especially if you like make your way past a couple of random decks, you consistently run the blue decks.
I would call out 1 Pyroblast as unusual now. It's just straight up 2. 2 is in every
unusual.
Yeah, 2 is the right number.
Yeah.
2 is the right number of how long is something gonna get banned, or are we actually gonna see 3 become a thing? I mean, it frees up another sidepod slot.
I think if Displacer Kitten does start to, like, more copies come online as well, I think we'll see 3.
It's pretty expensive, right?
It is. I think it is.
It's like 65 tickets or 62 or something.
Whoa, a pop?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
like you could see 3 Power Blasts if you add also like some couple of like Ledger Shredders maybe to the deck, just like a way to like loot them away, against like non-blue matchups. But I think 2 already is a pretty big statement in a deck with so many cantrips and so much.
Isn't there this enchantment for 2 mana? Something pedantic learning or something? Maybe it's something else. It's like 2 mana, and when it goes through graveyard, you draw 3 cards, and it's blue.
Hatching Plans.
Hatching Plans. That's the one.
I love that card. With I love it so much. There's also like a white one called Promise of Bunrai, which you get like 4 spirit tokens, and the card to go with them is like this 1 blue instant from Ice Age, which is like sacrifice a permanent, draw 2 cards. So you put them together, you draw 5 cards.
Okay, no, that's something else.
Perilous Research, that's the one.
Actually, those people did that in Legacy, but never really like as a good thing.
25,000 years ago.
Yeah,
during the Ice Ages. Yeah.
By the way, my little niece, I just visited her before I came to the podcast tonight. She's 3 years old, so she told me, too many animals are being killed around the world. but to her, like, the big problem with that was that we will run out of food, because then like, if we kill too many animals, then we will run out of food, because then there are none around to eat. And then like she thought for a couple of seconds, and then she had this brilliant idea, and then she told me, but actually then the dinosaurs are gonna come back. And then she was super excited for it, and I asked her which dinosaur she wants to eat, and she's like, a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I don't know how I actually got to that, but yeah, this is my little niece. She's amazing. 7th place, Baku91. Another certified Suma? I'm not sure.
No, this is a Spanish player. And
dude, you literally know everybody in Magic Online. Like, if Magic Online ever has like a database breach or something, and they can't recover anything, Callum is gonna be like, okay, let me sit down. So this is Baku91. Yep, Spanish player. This guy, that's his password. Oh, blah blah blah.
I like keeping up. I like knowing the players, know what they do, keeping up with things, etc. etc. This
you
is
really are bringing paper magic to Magic Online.
it's similar actually. Yeah. Like I'm always like, if I'm getting into another game or whatever, I like to learn about the players and that kind of stuff. So I follow loads of these people on Twitter as the cheat code, so I know what they're up to. Whenever I see like a Legacy player, I'll just follow them on Twitter and then see their information. This is his 5th consecutive Legacy event top 8.
Whoa.
He said he's taken like a few breaks, but he said like he always plays Delver. Like it's just through and through forever, and the guy's a crusher.
Well, yeah, he does exactly that. He plays one Delver in this deck.
Oh shit! It is actually
like,
one Delver.
That is so on brand.
Oh
But
my God.
gosh, this deck list is, man. I don't want to say ugly, but it really is
Something.
It definitely is something else. Holy shit! This
One
is
Delver, one Stifle, just to put the fear in you.
3 days,
one
one
force
force of negation. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
One force of negation isn't too unusual,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's
But it almost looks like, like you cut the 4th days for a force of negation. Like that's not how it looks like.
Mm.
You know,
You've
you know how
cut
that
Delver for Stifle. They're both 1 blue mana. So
you know how that one of Delver looks like to me? That looks like to me like when Top was banned and people still put like a one of Terminus into their control deck, so they would be like, I still play Miracles, like and you sign it
Right.
out every single time, and then like it starts out in the sideboard, and they are like, this is still Miracles, and then they cut it, and they're like, it's an archetype, it's Miracles.
it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
Miracles is a state of mind, and this is the one of Delver. This is like, no, I am still a Delver player.
Right? I mean, like you have to play the one Delver because you have so many force effects, right? Like you gotta pitch something,
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So, by the way, an old friend making a comeback in the sideboard, Sulfur Elemental. That card used to see a lot more play, and it's like, it doesn't wreck Death and Taxes as much as it used to, but it's still like pretty good against them. I like the card.
Yeah, it also like randomly hoses like a Monastery Mentor, right? Like,
Yeah.
out of Jeskai control.
Oh.
Occasionally.
It's also just like a 3 mana 3/2 flash can't be countered, which is kind of interesting. Like against the mental decks, it can like mop up some tokens, and then it's also just something that comes down, attacks the planeswalker, like a Narset or whatever.
Right.
Are there enough, would you guys say that Mentor is enough of a factor in Legacy right now? And remember that I haven't played for a month, that this goes into the consideration to include Sulfur Elemental?
Probably not.
Probably not, but what I like about Sulfur Elemental in this list in particular is that the fact that this deck doesn't run many creatures in the main. It only runs 10 creatures. One of them is a Delver, and so like going up to 11 creatures against Jeskai is not the worst. I think in terms of like pressuring planeswalkers and things like that. Also like imagine if your opponent goes like, I don't know, like Narset, and has like a prismatic ending in hand, like the Sulfur Elemental really can't be prismatic ending, when it comes into field. And
Yeah. Well, that's a really cool dynamic, right? They sit behind the forest. They think they're safe to drop the Narset, and then you just get down to Sulfur Elemental. They can't pedantic. I was going to say prismatic ending it on your turn, of course, and then you just take down the Narset, even though they're sitting behind the forest.
Yeah. It might have some game. Also, like it's a red threat. It can't be Power Blast. Doing that, maybe this is just huge. Just not being blue as a creature.
It can't be Pyroblast is just a new thing.
Yeah, it's just a new thing.
I remember that's a very long time ago. Like readers of the source will remember, and I think I've also mentioned this in a podcast before. There used to be this custom keyword that people used to explain cards, even when cards are spoiled, and it's awesome. I don't know if you guys remember what the keyword awesome was supposed to mean, like as a community thing, never as an official thing. You don't? I mean, I don't blame you. It's a long time ago.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, yeah, that's also a little bit cringy.
Now you gotta tell the story.
No, there's no big story to it. There's really no big story. Basically, awesome means the card is blue. So people, how people would sometimes have like code talk, and I think it's cool. That was the source like 15 years ago, when people were discussing the upsides of one card over the other. When the card was blue, whereas the other card was not blue, they would like list all the advantages of the blue card, and then as a thing to like tip the scales in that favor, they would say, oh, and it also has awesome, which means it's blue, so it pitches
I remember
force.
this now, actually.
Yeah. It's funny, like how these days it's the exact opposite.
This
Like,
card is not
we
awesome.
love-
Let's put it in our sideboard.
Yeah, exactly. We love cards that are not awesome, that don't have awesome. We've come a long way, but yeah, this is the state of Legacy right now.
Nice.
We want cards that
Legacy
don't
is
have
not awesome
awesome
right now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. But in speaking of awesome, 8th place Fluffy 21, I think from Sweden.
Indeed.
Isn't he actually the Swedish? I want to say Legacy Champion. I could be wrong. He won a pretty big event there.
Yep. I can't remember the name of the event, but he's friends with Marcus, and he did.
Oh, that
I'm
automatically makes him
pretty
awesome.
sure he won that last like big event, like Sweden Invitational, probably.
That's what you call it. The
Yeah,
Sweden
yeah.
Invitational.
Yeah.
Sweden Invitational.
Same one where there was like 2 8 casts with that red enchantment in the sideboard. That's why I remember it.
Oh yeah, where we were saying like this is probably like some kind of like Swedish tech for the
Gear per
metagame.
Aether Grid. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very, very classical elves list. It plays Once Upon a Time, which I
Old
think has
school
been
as hell.
adopted into both lists. 3 Beseecher Who Endures. We usually see 2, but I can see 3. I'm pretty happy whenever I see it in either version of the deck. Other than that, I think the one interesting thing is 3 Birchlaw Rangers. That card is really good, and it makes for like Heritage Dude, hands down, is the worst card in the deck. Like that's just how it works. Even though it's one of the most forced cards in the deck and one of the most feared cards in the deck.
Or it's so much better with there's 4 Metal Sentinel now. Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why Birchlaw Rangers is so awesome, because on the second turn, you have so many more explosive second turns when you have Birchlaw Rangers and Nettle Sentinel. And I think most people who play classic elves, they want more Birchlaw Rangers. Whenever you see that, you feel like, I kind of want to play more. They are awesome. Actually, they don't have awesome, but you get. So yeah, right. Fluffy, I think, has stuck to this version for a long time, and yeah, it's certainly paying off for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dig it a lot. It's not really that like it doesn't have the typical hate in the main board from the Collector Oof, for example. Grist, like super grindy tool, like it's not. Also doesn't see any play in the main. Like this main deck looks pretty much like a combo-ish,
it's a
combo-ish
deck,
approach. Yeah.
It is totally a combo deck. Whereas like the Reclaimer, Grist, Collector Roof is like it's a combo mid-range deck to try and find the words. But this is straight up a combo deck. Obviously, it grinds. Symbiote and Visionary, best friends forever. They're still there doing their thing. But like, yeah, this is looking to hoof you or shepherd you, basically.
Okay. Also, quick question. Like, what do you think? Like, who's favorite? Like, elves or Delver? Like, if they have like a direct match.
It's like, first of all, the one who wins the die roll, I would say.
Okay.
But then it heavily depends on like how geared towards like the matchup either sideboard is. I think Delver can do a lot more damage if they want to commit, like having multiple copies of like Submerge and End the Festivities. Elves usually already has a sideboard that addresses Delver quite well, because if it doesn't and Delver sees the sideboard cards, then you don't always get wrecked, but I always feel like the matchup is pretty close, and like something like die roll and sideboard construction tips it either way. And I'm just saying that because there's, the conventional wisdom and legacy of, elves wrecks Delver, and it's just like, it's not like that.
It's not true, right?
That makes sense to me. Looking at the rest of the top 8, the sideboards are like going down. So we have Bullwinkle's one is like 1 rough tumble, so pretty bad. So your Avils will probably come out ahead there. Marcio's one is 1 ends the festivities, 1 rough tumble, and then Baku 91's one is 2 submerge, 1 end the festivities. Like the submerges feel pretty great. Like to counter a Allosaurus Shepherd especially, and then like force a will the natural order kind of thing.
Yeah, but one thing that is just like so backbreaking is if you go for turn 1 Senate for Dryad Arbor and they submerge it, it's like,
oh my goodness,
it really feels like literal time walk.
Yeah.
One interesting thing though, in the sideboard of Fluffy, and also in the main... this all comes together now. This makes so much more sense. Oh my god, I'm discovering something. Okay, cool. Let's start off. There's no Abrupt Decay and there's no Assassin's Trophy in the sideboard. So I immediately look at the lands, and there's no Bayou. There's no Black Source among the lands. And now all of a sudden it makes so much more sense that you run 3 Birchal Rangers, because that's literally the only card that casts Grist other than Green Sun Senate, I guess. And Carpet of Flowers, if you want to count that.
Oh wow, this deck runs Quattro Forest. Damn. Which
certainly helps you out in the Diver matchup. Even though you'd love to have Assassin's Trophy for the Murktide, because as I see it, like big Murktide early on, if they like stop your development, that could be a problem. On the other hand, of course, you're a lot more combo-y. So when I look at this list, I kind of feel like I want a natural order target that just like insulates me against any kind of flyer that attacks me. And I don't even know if it's supposed to be Elder Scaleworm, probably not. but something. But yeah, I would need to think about this a lot more. I like the 3 Carpet of Flowers in sideboard. It's always like a very solid choice against Delver.
Right.
I would think, like, looking at this list, maybe the idea is to keep Natural Order. But let's say you bring in 3 Carpet of Flowers, you bring in 2 Endurances, that's 5. Maybe you bring in the Choke, 6.
Probably Roost.
Yeah, 7. Okay, in that case, maybe Leyline. I'm still undecided on whether I want Leyline against Blue Red Delver or not. It's like so-and-so. Actually, I would need to think about this more. Maybe you do cut in the Natural Orders. But yeah, this...
But is it crazy if I assume that maybe this deck wants to keep pushing post sideboard against Delver? You know, like not even trying to be like reactive and like trying to answer the threats, but just keep pushing the combo and like more, you know, aggressive glimpses and so on, and just make Delver fall behind a little bit, you know, so they have to start digging for answers.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
You're always pushing.
I can see that. That's why I was saying, okay, maybe I want to keep the Natural Orders, because we like, even though we don't have anything that we can Natural Order for that stabilizes the game, with this kind of deck, you might very likely be in a position where you can just go for the kill. Like, if your Natural Order resolves, you get the Kratov, and you might just like beat them down. Like, that's your answer to Murktide. Hit you in the face for 60 or something.
Right. I like that approach a lot, and because like the Carpet of Flowers, they also kind of like support this whole game plan, right? Like even if you're on the draw, like it kind of like pushes so much mana and for turn 2 or 3 that you can, like, even if they both like a creature like a mana dork or 2, you can kind of like easily come back to the game and maybe like randomly resolve Natural Order against them post sideboard.
Yeah, I guess it's also a lot easier when you have like 4 forests, which makes it much easier to like just like put lands on the board and make them stick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Fluffy really carrying the torch of classical elves. Going back to what I say almost every other episode, I want to play this now.
It's such a throwback to Nether Sentinel days.
Cool. So yeah, that's the top 8. Maybe I'm gonna very quickly round out the top 16, because that's such a big event. We got Daniel Gutschel, Ghoul to Cut, 9th place, Blue Red Delver, 10th place, Hodor time, baby. This looks to be Delverless Delver, right? Blue Red Delverless Delver. Is that it? Yeah, this thing with like Predict, Dazes. Yeah, 2 Dazes. Okay. 11th place, Alejandro Kirk, playing... What's the proper name for this? Is this like Blood Moon Aggro? Like it plays like Fireflux Squad, Goblin Rebel Master, Layla the Blade Reforged.
I just say Moonstompy.
Always Moonstompy.
Make it easy. Triers, 12th place, another Blue Red Delver. Aaron Relentless, 13th place. Ooh, Aaron's usually known for either playing elves or Death and Taxes. This time it's Oops All Spells.
So I saw him talk about this a little bit, and he said he thought it was a good meta call because Sideboard Hate was like shifting away because people are trying to do soft hate to try and combat Delver as well with it and stuff, and this deck can beat soft hate fairly reasonably.
I guess on top of that, both decks that he plays are not the kind of decks you would expect to kill you on the first turn.
Yeah, he also said like people know him for playing elves in D&T, so like people will mulligan or not against those 2 decks. So he's known to play on like other accounts for big events, but he probably thought, I'm going to play on Relentless because people know I play those decks, and then play Oops. Yeah,
I guess for this event you need a 40 QPs, and you don't always have those on your like alternate accounts.
That's true. Yeah. But he's playing the system in a smart way.
14th player, Raptor 56, green red lands, leaning a little bit more on the Dark Depth, 3 copies. 15th place, Chuckmouth PT playing, Yori and Death in Texas. Is there any of the new Extractor dudes? Like Extraction Specialist? There's a one-off. Extraction Specialist.
Yeah.
Cool. That card might actually become a real thing. I love it. Also, I see a lot more Kataki's War's Wage lately in Legacy again. There's one in the sideboard here as well. Maybe that's just, I guess, 8-cast is the idea, right?
Yeah.
And 16th place, rounding it out, Leofar playing. Oh god, what is this?
This gotta be like what's it called? Like
Blue Zenith. For abundant growth. Yeah, Blue
Zenith. Blue Zenith. Yeah.
Is it Blue Zenith? I thought Blue Zenith was Bug Zenith is the other one. Yeah, this is Blue Zenith. You're right.
It's close enough.
yeah. Legacy deck names, but I mean this is pretty distinct, especially for abundant growth.
Okay. This is 4 color. It has Leovold and Omnath. It's 5 color actually.
just quickly going through the rest. I just I can't stop myself. But yeah, we're gonna link all the other decks in the show notes. There's a lot more blue-red driver, as you would expect.
There was a lot.
Yeah.
Shout out to Yenko88 playing Jeskai Painter.
Jeskai Painter, I guess you gotta tell us about that. Maybe in a future episode or something.
I don't really understand it, but it's got Painter, so.
Oh, when it's Painter and you don't understand it, it usually means that it's either bad or like very deep, and at least one of those things makes it interesting to me.
No comment. I've no idea.
In speaking of brews, before we close out the show, on our Patreon, on our Discord, Petdan, I'm sorry, hopefully don't mispronounce your name. Did I horribly mispronounce it?
I think Petdan.
Okay, awesome. Very long time support of the show recently asked a question, and that was, which brews do you feel are currently underexplored? And to me, that was interesting. I think, Callum, you actually pointed out the question as a potential topic for an entire episode. We are touching on it today. What would underexplored even mean? And Petdan goes deeper into it, and I have a follow-up quote to that. But initially, what does it mean to you when a deck or deck concept is underexplored in Legacy?
Oh, it's really hard to brew or find these underexplored decks in Legacy at the moment, because more than ever I felt like the top decks punish the power creep thing is no secret. Like, cards are more powerful, decks are more powerful, and brews are kind of exploring different synergies that haven't worked in the past for whatever reason. And as formats get more powerful, one removal spell can break up a cool little synergy or a counter spell and stuff. And since the printing of Force of Negation, it's meant that I know that it's not that common in main decks anymore, but for a while there's been 6 or 7 counterspells, forces in blue decks. And it's just made brewing, I found, very hard, and it's just a real slog. But for underexplored, I don't have anything on the top of my head, but it'd be very often metagaming, working out what's good against the current top decks, as usual, as you would with kind of working out your sideboard for any of your normal decks. And then I would try and look into cards that are not played that much and approach from that angle. So right now, with the printing of Prismatic Ending, we're seeing so much removal in main decks, for permanent. So Source Plowshares, there's Lightning Bolts everywhere, there's Pyroblast, Prismatic Ending. So I'll be trying to find some stack-based combos. So actually, a underexplored thing I think is the Sudden Substitution deck, which I know Jax has been playing a bunch of. So Sudden Substitution is a 4-mana instant, 3 and a blue. And it's got split second, so it's very good against Callum Magic like that. And you exchange control of a creature and a spell. So you cast a pact, like Pact of the Titan or any of the other pacts, and then you tap your Forbidden Orchard, and then exchange their creature for your spell, and then they get a pact and then lose the trigger very often. It's kind of cool that it's very hard to interact with. Having split second and sudden substitution, and you need them to either play creatures or you tap your Forbidden Orchard. So that's one that could be called underexplored. And it's also tapping that vein of it's a spell-based combo, and it's that could be worth exploring. But past that, yeah, it's if there was less removal in the format, I'd be looking for permanent-based combo or something, or yeah, I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know brews that are currently overexplored, and that's everything. Any deck of Ether Vial. I think in the last couple of episodes we covered so many brews with Ether Vial, be it dwarfs of changelings or what have you, slivers, all that jazz. So yeah, if
sorry, I've just thought of a deck which completely answers everything. But finish.
No. I already finished.
Okay. I think Ad Nauseam lands is actually quite good.
Sorry.
Oh
what?
My goodness.
Can we please go back? You just said what?
Yeah. So you play a bunch of fast mana in Lowe's Petals and Mox Opals or all this artifact mana stuff, and then you play Ad Nauseam, and then you play Stage Depths as well.
Sorry, has that ever been a thing?
Yeah. You play Cunning Wish as well. It's been a thing in the past.
Some kind of fever dream?
No,
No,
like
no,
maybe,
it's-
maybe in England. Yeah.
God, you guys suck. You guys think you know Legacy, but you don't even know about ad nauseum lands, ad nauseum depths.
Dude, it's like this ridiculous lands deck which has like a little bit of fast mana. I'm a couple of like mana rocks, I think, and then Cunning Wish and Nauseam, right?
You know,
like
you know what? I've actually
Yeah, but you can play like discard spells as well.
I feel a little bit guilty. Like this is maybe people like us are the reason why it's underexplored because we immediately make fun of it.
All right, I'm gonna track down, make a list, and find out more.
Oh, you're gonna make a list? I thought there already was a list.
Well, yeah, there is, but I'll try and find it. Ad nauseum.
But actually, tell me a little. Like, what does it do if the nauseum thing fails? You're still like a dark depth thing,
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You basically still go Dark Depths. I think it still plays the Rishard Ports and Wastelands, I think. So you kind of do the lands thing. It's just that like occasionally you can also just like kind of go off with ad nauseum into. I think it was I thought it was Cunning Wish into some, I don't know, some either an Angel's Grace or something, or like a Brain Freeze or some.
All right,
I
here we
literally
go.
have never heard about this deck.
Here we go. I've just found one on Moxfield from Alex Zephyr Mage. This is roughly what I was thinking though. 3 Vampire Hex Mage.
Before you start, which year?
Last updated 8 days ago. Get out of here, Julian.
I'm gonna give you credit.
3 Vampire Hex Mage, 4 Profane Tutor, 1 Ad Nauseam, 3 Cunning Wish, 4 Pact of Negation, 3 Chalice of the Void, 1 Chrome Mox, 1 Expedition Map, 1 LED, 4 Lowe's Pedal, 4 Mox Diamond, 4 Mox Opal, 1 Shadow Spear, 4 Dark Depths, 4 Otuara, 3 Peat Bog, 2 Swamp, 4 Thespian Stage, 2 Chalaria West, 2 Underground Sea, 1 Urborg, 4 Urza's Saga, 2 Vault of Whispers, and then the sideboard is Ad Nauseam, Chalice, 3 EE, Flusterstorm, Lightning Storm, Not of This World, Pithy Needle, 3 Slaughter Pact, 3 Tormod's Crypt. How many combos in there? 3 Vampire Hex Mage, and then 4 Thespian Stage, and 4 Dark Depths. Then you have 4 Profane Tutor to find your other combos. You have Cunning Wish and Ad Nauseam in the main deck. Ad Nauseam can just draw your things, and then you go for the Depths thing. It's a Chalice deck as well. 3 Chalices in the main. 4 Pact of Negation against other counter magic. And then you just have 4 Sagas, and then 4 Stage and 4 Depths to just play things out, and an Urborg. There's a lot going on here.
Right. Like,
So-
imagine popping off with a Saga to get Chromox.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Oh, man.
But you know what? I think this looks pretty decent. So this is my answer for
It
underexplored
plays
decks.
Peat Bog. That's the black Sapricin Scary, right? The
Yep.
Mercadia Masks. Well, how do you
Separate and
call
Scary,
them?
aka the Blue Hickory Woodlot.
Exactly. Yeah. The one that it comes into play tapped, and you can
with
tap
2
it like
counters.
twice for 2 cut up mana,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then it dies.
Yep. That's the
I
one.
mean, it has cool artwork. I like it, but
Yeah.
somehow that deck completely escaped my awareness.
Okay. Well. Shows.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. If this is how you keep up with Legacy, you know.
Yeah. Turns out I'm gonna get booted from the cast very soon.
It's yeah.
I go to Kenya one time and people play ad nauseum lands. Like, guys, please.
This is definitely like a newer updated one, but there's been this kind of deck. It was always a Chalice deck as well. I remember now. There was lists in the past, like ages ago, before Saga, obviously.
And you're basically saying this is cool because it's
I've just found a version from 2017 in Nightwear. 68 players. They came third.
Okay.
Yeah. They used to play Zero as well. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, this is getting better. But going back to the initial thing, because that's what Pete then actually sent us, and I think the question about which brews are underexplored is actually more like a question about what are the current boundaries of Legacy and how do we exploit that. To quote, I feel like a meta-defining aspect now is that control decks perhaps run 4 Swords to Plowshares and 4 Prismatic Ending. What cards and strategies are good against that? Anything there that's underbrewed, which also needs to be good against Delver.
I forgot about this part of the question, and he's basically covered exactly what I said first.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it once. It's Nimble Mongoose, you know.
It is.
Nimble Mongoose, True Name Nemesis, like those type of creatures.
Imagine if Nimble Mongoose didn't have to deal with a 3/4 flash
Yeah.
that gets rid of your graveyard.
I mean that obviously sucks.
Oh, this is
but-
so horrible. Yeah.
Endurance is like the alpha predator of Mongoose.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it's like I kill you and all your friends too. You know, like all your upcoming friends.
You can't even bolt
Oh
it.
my goodness!
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that turned around pretty quickly.
Otherwise, I agree. Like, if you look at the check pile list, like apart from Strix, they just cannot deal with Mongoose.
Right.
It's actually kind of funny how Mongoose is. What is actually missing from Mongoose to make it like viable again? Like First Strike or something? I don't know.
I know. I think flying probably.
Oh
yeah.
Probably flying.
Flying, First Strike, haste.
Yeah,
split second.
It's like I think there's like the biggest change in Legacy like recently is that there's like so much stuff that gets like put on the battlefield. I think relatively quickly. Like even the control displays so many permanents, creatures, and planeswalkers and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
You kind of like to like gum up the board, and it's just not really like I think Nimble Mongoose was the best in Legacy when Legacy was like a spell-based format where people just played a bunch of counter magic discard and things like that, or like easy to kill creatures also, like Stoneforge Mystic and things like that.
Yeah, now there's so many Vile decks, and then exactly as you say, there's like even the blue decks just have like random Shark tokens, Timeless Dragon tokens, just bits and pieces. Yeah, they're just
so going back to Ad Nauseam Lands that also plays Cunning Wish.
Yep.
Is that just like an idea of a deck you thought about that might be good right now, or is it specifically good under the current boundaries of the format, like for Swords of Plowshares, for Prismatic Ending being everywhere?
Yeah, no, I think it's good under the current boundaries. It plays 4 Pact of Negation and a way to like Ad Nauseam draw probably your whole deck. Yeah, the mana cost of the deck is like 6.
Does it play Interest Grace?
No, the mana cost of the whole deck is 15. When you cast Ad Nauseam. If you cast the Ad Nauseam in your deck, it's 15 after that, including 3 Cunning Wishes. If you play a Cunning Wish from Ad Nauseam...
So you don't have Ad Nauseam main deck?
You have 1 Ad Nauseam main deck, so you have 4 Profane Tutor, and then you have 3 Cunning Wish. So the whole CMC of your deck is 9, 14... The whole CMC of the deck is 20 total. Mm-hmm. And so the moment you've cast like a Cunning Wish or an Ad Nauseam, it's less than 20, and you can... I guess you've probably taken some damage, but... Yeah, it's also again like you've got lots of the depth combo, you've got sagas, and then you've got chalices and stuff.
But then you end up killing with Dark Depth still, because that once again feeds into like Swords of Plowshares and Prismatic Ending.
No,
right?
you'll go off. So if you draw your whole deck, you can then cast. You've got like tons of fast mana. So you have Lotus Petals, Mox Diamonds, Mox Opals. So that's a bunch of mana and 1 LED. And so then you make mana with the Moxen to cast another Cunning Wish, crack the LED for 3 red, and get Lightning Storm. Oh no, you can't crack the LED because you need to discard the lands. But there's 26 lands in the deck. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy it into the show notes so you can see.
Oh yeah, we should really do that. This reminds me a lot of the Ad Nauseam deck in Modern at one point.
Yeah, it's quite similar. So yeah.
Oh, there's Not of this World in the deck as well, so you can actually fight against Swords of Plowshares in PvE. At least once.
So I you know what, I was so ready to play like a kitten deck at our next monthly, but I'm now looking at this like, right, I've got to I do think it's good, so this is my answer. Yeah. But it also ties into the like how to attack a thing. Like, yeah, Swords is good against the Merit Age token, but it's like not good against the Urza Saga part of the deck. It's not good against the Ad Nauseam for Lightning Storm part of the deck. You do have 4 Pacts of Negation and 3 Cunning Wish for Not of This World to fight against Swords as well. Like, yeah. This deck has
this deck probably plays for, where is it? Urza Saga, yeah. Actually, yeah, so half the time you probably just like win by straight up Urza Sagaing. Okay, so you have like 3 distinct aspects. You got the Saga aspect, the Dark Depth aspect, and the kill you out of fucking nowhere with Ad Nauseam aspect.
Oh, it can kill you on your end step, like if you tap out in your main phase. Yeah.
Because of Lightning Storm, yeah.
Right.
Okay, you certainly increased my
well, I gotta add
respect
though, like
for the deck.
This deck is a little hard to build though, because because most people who own the card Ad Nauseam definitely hate Chalice of the Void. You know, like you rarely have people who own Ad Nauseam and Chalice of the Void at the same time. It's so rare.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is where the beauty of proxies and Magic Online come in. Then,
yeah.
Right. Oh, there's freaks out there that just own everything. They'll have it.
Freaks, crazy people.
Yeah, the people that have 2 Ad Nauseam and 4 chalices.
Right.
Kai, do you have both?
Well, I own one chalice. I got one Chalice of the Void last 2 weeks ago at the etc. tournament. I don't even know, but I guess now I have a purpose in my life.
Now you can build towards this deck.
I mean, we're laughing now, but next tournament, I think the next
next
tournament is going to be in August or September, from what I've heard.
I mean, the next tournament is literally in 3 days in Sweden, right? The Legacy main event.
Ooh, better find those two Tularia West.
Uh-oh.
Wait, what the fuck are we doing with Tularia West? Can Tularia West find Profane Tutor?
It can.
Yeah. It can get anything in the deck.
Deep.
It's literally anything in the deck apart from Hex
Yeah, you
Mage,
can also
Ad
grab-
Nauseam, and Cunning Wish.
anything. Chromox, Jazz of the Void, you can.
Dark Depths, Stage.
Yeah, that's
Saga.
the dream, right? Transmute Tularia West for Chromox.
Wait, no. Transmute it for Expedition Map to go and get a land.
Actually, no, you can't get Expedition Map, right?
Oh, that's true.
It's a 1, yeah.
God, I chose the one card you can't get.
I was gonna say. But okay. We want to... Honestly, I think if you streamed this deck, you would... Kai, are you going to be up to?
Well, I'm kind of down. Yeah, I just... Okay, yeah, I can kind of see streaming this.
You can even name the deck. I think nobody has called dibs on naming rights for this.
Oh wait, like, how does this deck exist and doesn't have a name?
I'm sure it does. I know Phil Gallagher streamed it did a video recently. Let me see what he called it. I don't know what to search for.
I don't trust Phil with naming decks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Something I've actually played a little bit this week, and that I'm actually going to stream on the weekend is Maverick. Somebody sent me a donation incentive to play Maverick, and usually I take it, I build the deck and then I stream it. But with Maverick, it's just like my one big love, right? Green White Maverick. That's just who I am. Like, you know me as Enchantress guy, or I don't know, as Elves guy, or Pleasant Kenobi said I'm the fucking Lions guy because apparently I talked about fucking lions on a show of his twice.
Yeah.
I think I did actually. But yeah, Maverick, this is just my jam. And there's few things in Legacy that feel as good as going like Wasteland you, tap Knight, Wasteland you again, Script Ranger, untap Knight, Wasteland you again.
Oh my goodness.
Pass. Opponent passes back with like basically an empty board, and then you crash in with your, I don't know, 12 Knight. Even though I cut some of the Knights from the deck, I could even see cutting like the second one from the deck going down to 2. But overall, I love Maverick so much, and I also love building like very, very, very hateful decks with Maverick. And yeah, I think I went 4-1 on the last league last night, and I think I played against almost mono combo. And yeah, I think against A&T, I think I had like 15 cards in the sideboard. Like, I didn't even bring in some of the hate, like additional chokes. I think I brought in like 1 choke or something because I had too much hate. And then even in the main deck, something like 4 Thalia and 2 Spirits of the Labyrinth. And I got rid of Stoneforge Mystic, which is just like the card I hate the most. I never want to have it in Maverick, even though I sometimes do. So yeah, I don't know if Maverick is underexplored. I have absolutely no idea, but I love playing it. And maybe, just before I left work today, I saw a list. I don't remember who it was, but somebody posted a list with Maverick with Minsk and Boo. That's the new 4-mana Planeswalker. That's unfortunately not yet on Magic Online, but we are getting a lot of reports that it's really good. Mark Folk played it at the Etc. Legacy, was pretty impressed with it. And I think in one of our Legacy chats, I also saw people talking about how good the card actually is. Mm-hmm. So I think it's about time they bring it to Magic Online, but from everything I understand, it's probably going to take quite a bit.
Yeah, it's very good, I think. It's like, you make a 4/4 trample haste, and then you can next turn like sacrifice it and draw 4 cards, deal 4 damage or something, is the gist of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
But it's also like super cute, no? Like, isn't it like a squirrel or something?
Whoa, it's a miniature... actually, I only know the charm name because I played the game in Charm. It's a miniature giant hamster or something.
Hamster, holy man, yeah. That's a vote for the cutest Planeswalker ever.
Right.
So cool.
Minsk is the opposite of cute. He's a little bit, like, daft.
Oh, I'm not even talking about Minsk. Like, who cares about Minsk? I only care about the hamster, yeah.
But yeah, they're like one of the most beloved characters in all of the Baldur's Gate universe. So yeah. Also, doesn't have awesome, can't be Pyroblasted. Maybe it's the next big thing. Like, I can't say it's the next big thing, but the next thing at least. Callum told us about the Displacer Kitten thing being really big. Maybe that's going to be bigger. But Minsk and Boo, it's going to be this weird card because as long as it's not in Magic Online, we will never really like get that feel for how good it is. Actually, is it the best Legacy playable card that's not on Magic Online right now?
I think the Curse is probably maybe
Maddening
better.
Hex, yeah.
Maddening
Hex
yeah.
competes for it for sure.
Yeah. I think between those two, the other cards that aren't on there is like the thing with like it costs 9 mana or 7 mana, and it costs less for your instance in your graveyard in exile. Sailor's Bane. I don't think that card is good at all. So
What does it do?
it's a 7 mana 7/7 or 5/5. It's 7 mana big, and it's got ward 4, and it costs 1 less to cast for each instant in your graveyard or exile.
Sailor's Bane, I see it. Okay,
Yeah.
7/7 ward 4 costs 9 and can go
9,
down to
okay.
2 if you for each.
People were saying that this is going to be crazy in Delver, and I just think it's bad. It's got no evasion. It's going to come down like turn 5 or 6, and then ward 4. It's cool, kind of, but
It's
yeah.
a dragon turtle though.
I mean, we've already got dragons, but
Isn't there like an additional version of like Burnt Offering or something that people talk about?
that was Ethan Formicella wanting to play crazy combo decks. I've forgotten what the card is called, but it's really, really old. It's not a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, there's also a thing that combos with World Golden Dragon. It's like a 5 mana 4/4 something white card. Whenever it ETBs, you make a soldier token or something, and it essentially combos with World Golden Dragon where you make infinite 1/1s. That's a thing. Otherwise, I don't know. I think it's just Maddening Hex and Boon Minsk, which are very good and would be played in Legacy.
Okay, so the one card that Ethan was talking about is Sacrifice. I guess it's an instant these days. 1 black, destroy one of your own creatures without regenerating it, and add to your mana pool a number of black mana equal to creature's casting cost. The first thing that comes to mind is something like Zombie Fish, like Gurmag Angler. But that's already a lot of work just to get a little bit of mana.
Yeah.
And then I guess you can cast Grizzlebrand or something. Like, yeah, okay. Then the crowd goes wild. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to be it from today. I remember, like, right before the show, Kai was like, guys, how long do you think this episode is going to be? We were like,
Yeah,
oh, definitely
like-
not a 2-hour episode.
Like the one thing you guys said was like definitely not 2 hours.
Yeah, so we're 2 hours and 15 seconds right now.
Add to that the intro and a couple of things I'm going to cast. We might exactly land at 2 hours.
I do have to add one more thing, I'm afraid. It'll just take a second. While we've been casting, I've got a message from a friend saying, I need to quote this because it says, Callum, I'm obliged to inform you that you've made a lore mistake in the most recent episode of the podcast. So the last one. You stated, displace a kitten, that you can sometimes see it, sometimes not. In fact, a displacer beast is so named because it projects an illusion of itself in a slightly different spot to the one it actually occupies, which is what the quote-unquote cutest thing you've almost seen line is referencing, and the effect is constant, making what you said incorrect. I expect a full retraction in the next episode. And then a friend said, yeah, Callum, fuck.
Oh man.
So I am so sorry, Jimu, for getting it wrong.
Well, it sounds like Britain could also use the German order authority. Somebody's going to knock on your door very soon.
I'm going to stick with what I said.
Good timing.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. So, with that, I think we're going to call it a day. If you want to support the running of the show, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We received, I think, more reviews in this year than at any year before. So that's like, I keep saying it's basically the best feeling ever when you get a good review for the podcast, or even like when people tell you on paper, that's like, hey, I listened to your podcast. Thank you so much for that. If you want to join the Patreon community, if you want to get in our Discord, or if you literally just want to chuck money at us, there's patreon.com/everydayeternal. And if you want to follow us, there's @eternalmtg on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow me, I'm @itsjulian on Twitter and it's Julian on Twitch. Kai, where can people find you?
Yo, it's Sawatarix on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Instagram. I also started streaming again in Germany last week. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please take a second and reach out to Sawatarix on Twitch. Thank you.
With that awesome new voice of yours.
Yes, lovely.
Oh, cool. And Callum, where can people find you?
At Callum Smith MTG on Twitter. It's the best place for me.
Awesome. So with that, we're going to call it a day. Big thanks to the people making this possible, especially those on our Eternal Witness tier: Tommy Hanks, Testacular, Sebastian Holaga, Guillaume, Hanawa Elf, Sean Dewey, and Severin Schwarzhuber. And on our top Grizzlebrand tier: Victor Bernatz, Bajubat, Scott Monroe, Jeremy Gates, Henrik Korkutz, Tom Happ, and Paragon Games in St. Louis. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much, and tune in next month when we will explore how this deck did for Callum. See you. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Cheers.